right, welcome home and welcome to Base. Super glad to have you on today. I'm gonna play a short intro video and then we're gonna get started. This is our community created intro, so I feel obligated to play it every time we hop on live stream, and I just love it so much. So shout out to Toe for creating that. So thank you so much, Leo, for joining us today. I'd love to start by you sharing a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I apologize for the last time I had to change the schedule last minute, but I'm happy that we're finally doing this.
No worries at
Um,
all.
yeah, so my name's Leo. I'm the founder of a protocol called Alkimiya. And we've been working on this for quite some time. This is born out of quite a few years of research. Before that, we were very dedicated to block space dynamics and just everything that's happening on block space and how that has evolved over time. So essentially, Alkimiya is a DeFi protocol where people can trade fundamental metrics. And by fundamental metrics, we are talking about block space dynamics. We're talking about gas fee. We're talking about the total revenue that's accrued on projects. We're talking about stablecoin metrics, macro indices. So essentially, things that we think are meaningful, and we want to turn them into assets that people can easily access on chain.
Amazing. So, what was the inspiration behind it, and when did you guys start building?
Yeah, so I guess the blueprint for this kind of started in my head much longer, several years ago. But
Of
the
course,
yeah
like all great
the
ideas.
but the prototype actually went through quite a few iterations. Just going through the trying to find the correct version of the UX to present this kind of exposure. So, anyways, just before diving into Alkimia. Um, so my first job out of college was doing derivative pricing, and it was a typical Wall Street job. Even though it was incredibly boring, but it was a very good way to get. It was a very good perspective to see,
Mhm.
like, how just really how scammy traditional finance actually is, and how a lot of the
Yeah,
shiny stuff are actually not
literally.
so. Yeah,
How
not
yeah, how
so.
corrupt and how much of an insider game it truly is. Yeah.
Yeah, but also I think some of the hard skills are also very useful and transferable later on, which I
Definitely.
appreciate. Yeah, so I did just the classic Wall Street jobs for a few years, and in 2016 I was very convinced that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Crypto, I
Oh, I
meant.
love
We're still saying blockchain at the time, and
that.
yeah,
Blockchain,
I
not
joined.
crypto.
Yeah, I was kind of a Bitcoin maximalist when I first started. I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time just
We all were.
looking at yeah, different consensus mechanisms. Spent a lot of times in mining, and when I was working as a researcher at a small crypto fund in New York, and
Mhm.
when MEV became phenomenal, that instantly became the topic of my fascinations. So because block space dynamics became much more complex, and there's a lot more different players and different types of activities were happening on block space, and we see a lot of fee rate spikes, right? We see a lot of different participants, very specialized players start to capture different parts of the value,
Yeah.
and that became insanely interesting to us. And once COVID hit, and I was just at home all day, and I just couldn't stop thinking about this. So I left my own job and start to just write things and just publish things under initial research. All these blogs can be found on Alkimia's website now. They're really long, and there's some math in them, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it definitely give it a read. So those became the sort of, yeah, the original design that led to this protocol.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, very interesting. And I assume you do have, something to actually share. If you want to share any of the UI or the UX or the flow in general, with our audience, would love to start there and then sort of ask you some questions about the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
So, so our let me share my screen.
Yeah, just
My
make
first
sure
time
there's
using
no
this.
seed phrases around before you share your screen.
Yeah, I don't want people to steal my $50.
Well, that's the best way, you know. If you don't want to get robbed, don't have money, right?
Yeah, just be poor.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a good strategy. I'm gonna make this full screen so everyone can see. So our faces are gonna be off. Our cameras will still be on, but all right, you're full screen.
Mm. Can you see, can you see my screen? Okay.
Yep, perfect.
All right. Yeah. So there's a
Walk
lot
us
here,
through the
and
flow.
obviously the UI is still going through a lot of
Some
improvements. I think
iterations.
there's still yeah a lot of low hanging fruits that we want to make to improve this. But the essential idea, this is our flagship product, is something that gives people exposure to base revenue itself. So this is actually the total amount of revenue that's generated by the sequencer of base. So as you know, there is no base token, and there's no plan
Right.
for issue a base token yet. For however you want to interpret
At
that
least another year.
information.
Let's put it like that.
Yeah. So there's no really good way to for people to gain base exposure, especially for people who have been building on this ecosystem for a very long time.
Right.
There's and aside from the amazing vibes, there you want to have some kind of way to capture its economics at very least. So this market lets you trade the total revenue, which is the total amount of gas that people have spent on base, because there is no base fee burning mechanism like ETHL1. So all the fee that people pay to the sequencer, they are the revenue for the base rollup. Um,
Yep.
and so this market is, you can think of it as a sort of a prediction market, but it's not binary settle. It's a hybrid between a futures contract and a prediction market. Well, somehow I made it sound more complex, but but,
I love it. That's funny.
yeah, but you can think of it as sort of taking a view on how much revenue that base is going to generate for on a weekly basis.
Mm.
And this is largely driven by the amount of activities that are actually taking place on base. So for example, there was a period of time where and so we have all these pools are on a weekly basis. So every prediction, or every time you try to express a view on it's going up and down, it's based on the total the weekly revenue of base, and the amount of activities that are happening on base at that time. So we have a on-chain calendar here that tracks some of the basic stats and events that happen on base. So these are something that can give people
Super
a
cool.
view, yeah, on what's happening here. So, but still, you need to
How
translate these
yeah, how
quality.
exactly do you
Yeah.
aggregate, those events?
So we look at just major protocols that are happening on base, and we look at what Jesse is tweeting.
I love it. Yeah, so manually, you do everything manually.
Yeah, but we do have a social points program called Furier, which we encourage people to the community, our community, to of 50, I think almost 60,000 people at this point, to
Incredible.
submit on-chain events that they see, so that I mean, most of the submissions, unfortunately, are spams, but
Yeah, yeah, I
they're
was gonna ask,
they
yeah, is it harder to filter out those submissions than, than do it manually?
Yeah, but it does help. It does help. Um, so so it's kind of like there was a period of time where I think Clanker was launching a lot of was highly active. I think it was
Right.
November of last year, right?
Mhm.
So during that period of time, so gas was pushed to a pretty noticeable level. I think from a user from an average user perspective, it's still pretty. It was still fine, right? But
Right, right.
there were just generally higher amount of reverts. I think I don't know if people remember that period of time, but overall the amount of gas spent on base was pretty high. So worth mentioning that this is tracking the total amount of gas that's spent on base, not the gas rate, like the gas price
Right,
itself.
right,
I
right.
think gas price is still pretty negligible on
Yeah, I
any
mean,
rollups that worth their salt. Yeah.
it's almost zero. I mean, this is the funniest part about the current state of the ecosystem. I mean, people on Ethereum mainnet, people on Base, people just in general who are building on Ethereum are just shilling like, hey, there's no reason to use Base or there's no reason to use Sepolia network anymore. Just use Base. There's no
Yeah.
reason to use the testnet.
Yeah. And Base is pretty awesome. We were
It's incredible,
pretty
truly.
happy to
Like
keep voting on this.
best place to be for builders right now. I mean, I wish like I feel like a shill. I feel like I'm being paid to say this, but like it literally is just the truth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish I was being paid to
Because
say this.
well, yeah. There's no token, so you know it's real.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. And I mean, like, you can't even honestly, back in the day, sorry to cut you off real quick, but just real quick, when, when Arbitrum just first launched, everyone knew there was gonna be a token, they kept saying, like, "No token," but, like, everyone and their grandmother was farming Arbitrum, like, in, in the hopes of there being a token or knowing that there will be. So like Base just doesn't really feel like that. Like especially like on launch, like a lot of people, weren't using Base to farm it. Like people were either just using Base or they weren't. And now like, you're starting to get that sentiment where, people want to come to Base just because they want to actually use it. It's the weirdest thing ever, right? Like this is one of the first chains where people are coming because they actually want to use the chain instead of trying to farm it.
Yeah, I think the team did a pretty good job in trying to capture that, and obviously, I think people, you know, are excited about the prospect of potential token whenever that happens, or if or whenever that happens.
For
But I
one,
think
yeah.
it's yeah, people are genuinely very excited about things that are happening on base. I think for us, this presented opportunity to test the realness of this crowd, right? So there are definitely other chains that we before we made the deployment decision that are pretty generous when it comes to their deal terms. And it was just very hard to gauge because okay, after the farming is done, can they sustain, right? And are we going to be left with no users after the incentives are over? So that was a very practical concern.
Right.
Um, and looking at base is able to sustain the amount of current users, the amount of TVL, just purely without incentive and just by just good old fashioned marketing and ecosystem building. So yeah, that's definitely one aspect that we like about base a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to be honest. It's really impressive to see. Anyway, so there's the little go build on base tangent. Now that we've covered that, we can move on back to the product.
Yeah, so this is you can think of this as essentially like a barometer of base itself, right? Like a pulse check of how healthy and how profitable base actually is.
Mhm.
And we know like from intuitively base is doing pretty well in terms of revenue, but
Right.
just how well it is, and it's more volatile than people expect because you expect this thing to be very pretty much up only, but
Right.
when you look at short term, it's quite volatile, and this is because, excuse me, this is largely driven by the amount of new contracts that deploy and overall activity, right?
Wait,
So
so
you
what's the
can
time
think
frame
of
here? Is this daily? These are these daily charts,
yes, this is daily chart. So you
and the
can
one right above
see.
it is daily as well. The
So
cumulative
are you
gas,
looking at this?
the cumulative gas per pool is what is the time frame on that chart as well?
So
Daily.
this is weekly. This is
Okay,
weekly.
got it, got it,
Each
got it.
each of these chunks is weekly, and but
I see, I
this
see. Got it,
flat line is one. Yeah. So
got it,
this
got
is
it.
cumulative. Yeah. Yeah. So on a weekly basis, on daily basis, this is still pretty volatile. This can travel.
Incredible.
It can travel a lot. So this is definitely a
It
lot
is.
more volatile than people expect, and volatility it means it's a great thing to trade, right? So
Right, right, right.
there. Yeah, there are weeks where activities are relatively quiet, and this is because people are not doing as much. Just meme coins are getting more quiet, or if you just have a fundamentally more bearish view on base, that also is a
Hmm.
possible way for you to express that view.
Right.
But there are also times where something just go crazy. Like for example, this
Same.
is yeah, it went from 4 to 1 ETH per hour to 56 per hour, and this was because of the virtual Solace launch that was widely talked about on CT.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah. So
I mean, that's why if
so
you have some alpha, or like if you yourself are about to deploy something big, like this is a
H
great trade to
trade
make.
area.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, like, timing it is still not gonna be incredibly easy. So, like, at the end of the day, like, you only have so much insider information. So it really doesn't feel like that cabal at the end of the day, like, if you believe that it's gonna spike, you're probably gonna be able to make like 100, 200%, but like for you to like actually sell the top is very unlikely.
Yeah, because you can, on a daily basis, this is pretty volatile.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and there's
100%.
no there's no leverage, and just the spot revenue itself is volatile already. We definitely have planned to add leverage, but I think right now, I
Thank
think
you.
this is this is enough to cause heart attack.
The defense, thank you for that. Yeah. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're clamoring already. I'm sure your community is like, "Hey, when do we get 100 times leverage?" And you're like, "Well, maybe not 100 times."
yeah, I think people should get used to this first. Right? Just looking at
100%.
some of the higher point, it can go as high as 315 a day, and
Mhm.
and normally it just fluctuates between as low. It can go as low as 20, 30 a day. So this fluctuation is pretty wide, even on its own. So this
Right.
is a pretty fun thing to trade, and unlike meme coin or anything that are largely driven by exogenous factors such as how much
Right.
insiders are dumping or all of those kind of things.
Yes, or
This,
if it's going on the great big ball in Vegas.
yeah, this is this is pretty damn hard to manipulate, right? And
Right.
there's really no incentive
Almost
for you to
impossible.
manipulate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, unless you yourself are deploying something crazy, but once again, like, it has to be real to some extent, you can't just, like, deploy some shitty contracts and expect, a bunch of people to chase after it, like, you have to be doing something legitimate.
Yep. And also the cost that you pay to jack up the gas fees, this entirely goes to the sequencer. It's entirely it's a cost. So
Right,
even if
right.
you want to manipulate this, you have to make sure whatever you pay is going to be
It's worth
yeah,
it.
and
Right,
so
right, right. I mean,
yeah.
it's
So
the equivalent
yeah.
of the 51% attack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And so what's fun about this is that okay, if you have been paying attention to virtuals and what virtual has been cooking, and you're
right,
very excited about it, and they telegraph this event like just this has been talked about miles away, right? So
right,
so
right,
there's nothing new, there's nothing private about this, but it's just okay if you've been paying attention to virtuals, you've been paying attention to what they're doing, and you're really excited about that this is a very good way for you to express just how active it's going to be. So this indirectly becomes a measurement or yeah, just a barometer to okay, just how hot certain events are going to be on base.
right, right. I'm actually shocked that, the virtuals event was that large in comparison to the rest of, the rest of that month and, since actually. That's shocking. Oh my god. Wait, virtuals, holy shit.
Yeah, but I mean, virtual was doing even much better before. In uh, I think there was a time that they were trading at $5 or something, and oh my god, the activity
I mean,
was pretty strong. Yeah.
but I mean, this is why it really can't be manipulated to that, to this big of an extent, because at the end of the day, like, even if you're the virtuals team, you're not going to expect it to go up that far. Like, if you're trading this, you're maybe going to sell like 50% of that candle.
Yeah. And I believe this was because of Kaito, if I remember correctly. It was around that
Ah,
time frame. I
yes,
don't
yes,
remember exactly which day it was, but I just distinctly remember during that time, wow, gas
yeah,
was very attractive. That was a good day as well. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, very good day indeed.
Yeah.
And do you have any, I mean, feel free to not answer this question if it's alpha to you, but do you have any trading bots that you've been sort of like trying to fine tune for this specifically?
Not yet, but this is definitely something we want to explore. So if you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
any good suggestion, I would love to. Yeah.
We actually did bring on somebody 2 days ago who was building a trading bot originally on Solana. They just created a mini app for it. But I was talking to him when on the live stream. And I was like, "Hey, like I really like what you built. Would you want to bring it to base?" And he's like, "Actually, I was already planning to bring it to base because the RPCs on Solana are giving me so much trouble that it's actually not even worth like having this trading bot on Solana anymore." And like to hear that, like I was just I like of course it makes sense after hearing it, but I was like, holy shit, like there's so many more reasons to be building on base than Solana nowadays that it's like actually genuinely shocking. Even when I a couple weeks ago, I went to make a trade on Solana, and it was like I swear to God, I like just bought like $10 of this random thing, just for fun, and it cost me like almost 90 cents, and I was like, what the fuck? Like since when were Solana fees like almost $1 per transaction? Like we used to be paying like 10 cents max for a Solana transaction. Why would I even use Solana if transaction fees are that high? And of course, like $1 in the grand scheme of things is still like really small. But I mean, when you're paying like literally 5 cents, if not less, on base, like I don't even see why I would use Solana anymore, outside of the network effect, of course.
Yeah, I think it's experiencing a lot of things that maturing chains are experiencing. I think this is not going to be a problem that's easy for them to solve.
Right, right.
But
I mean,
I think yeah.
this is why,
So
this is why we're talking
what's
about
cool?
sidechains and L2s and all the things that Solana maxis were yelling about several years ago.
Yeah. So what's cool is that we definitely have the intention to support Solana gas spikes on our platform as well. So
Mhm.
you can trade Solana gas fluctuation on this thing without leaving base.
Oh shit! Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be super cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that shit is very volatile. It's
very volatile. I mean, it's shocking. Like I said, I was completely dumbfounded at how expensive like transactions have gotten in general. And of course, like sometimes it's 50 cents, sometimes it's 90 cents. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
yeah. Yeah,
But still
anyway,
useful.
sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, keep
And
going.
a large a large motivation for designing this market this way. Well, so just still talk about the base revenue market, right? There was a point where memes are very, very active on base, and I think that's a trend that like a lot
Will
of people like
continue.
myself even
Yeah.
want to capture. But I think meme coin trading is definitely not for everyone, and I think
Right.
it consumes a lot of bandwidth, and it's generally just a very operation heavy, and it's just a very difficult thing to for a normie like myself to do. And I think there is a silent majority who would prefer things that are a little bit low frequency, and
Like,
but how do
especially
you
traditional
capture
players.
yeah, how do you capture the trend of a wave of hyperactivity of meme coins and base, or Zora being very, very active, leading up to the TGE?
Mhm.
Then this is a very good indirect way to trade how hot those events are without having to touch any of those hitters.
Right,
No
right,
disrespect
exactly.
to Zora, but
No, no,
well,
100%.
actually, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, if you're if you're an institutional player or a traditional player in general, like you're not going to want to be trading every single one of these coins. In fact, like if you're not, sniping them, then like you're probably not going to want to be involved at all. So it makes a lot more sense to try and capture the value this way rather than, trying to buy every goddamn meme coin that drops on the market.
Yeah.
Like some of us. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so my thought process for this when the reason I want to do this is
Mhm.
pretty straightforward, right? So I can see that certain events are very, very popular. I can see that people would chase after certain things. But I
Right.
myself, I just don't want to touch it. I don't want to interact with it. But
Right.
I want to capture it somehow. Then this is denominating ETH, right? I use ETH as my collateral. I get paid back in ETH. So in my opinion, this is just a much more clean way to trade these kind of exposures.
And would you be able to go through some of the flow of actually like trading? Show us
Yeah.
show us the
So
goods.
yeah. So for example, and again, the UI, I fully acknowledge that this is there's a lot of room to simplify. Right now, we're favoring just having as much information as possible so that
Yeah, yeah. You got to get
it's
the
accurate.
fundamentals down first. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that is, a little bit challenging about the simplification of this is just that um, because we don't really have a good benchmark
Hmm.
for what UI to model after, right? It has a lot of similarity with Poly Market, right? It is a prediction
Right.
market, but at the same time, it's not binary, right? It is not
No,
yes
no.
and no. It's not
Right,
that.
right.
So but at the same time, it's not entirely a feature either. So this is why it's taking it's going to take a few iterations for us to figure out like how exactly to simplify without losing precision. Um, anyways, so okay, so for example, each pool, right, they represent weekly revenue, and in each pools there are these events that we
Ah,
captured ahead of time. Yeah,
yes.
so you can look into okay, and you may form a view on okay how these events. Some weeks are quieter, some weeks are more busy, and some weeks there are not that many events, but a single event is enough to
Yeah, to move
to
market.
dominate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, what you're trying to figure out is how much total gas will the roll up generate from this week. Right? It's the total total revenue during that period of time, and so this cumulative gas per pool is showing how it accumulates, so that this I think visually this can improve, but this gives you a very direct sense of how quickly it is climbing on day to day
Mhm.
because final like ultimately you're trying to trade the revenue per week. The reason
Right.
we're doing
And
per
it's
week,
shockingly
not per
consistent.
yeah, but if you zoom out to this level, it's still
Right,
quite
right.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, but okay, yeah, yeah.
So this chart is slow to populate. Um, so yeah, anyways, and the reason it's weekly is because daily it's very difficult to form a view. Like I
Yeah.
think it's very hard for people to come up with a very strong view. Oh, I think base is going to make 30 ETH today. I think it's very hard to form
Right,
that
right, right.
view. And monthly is just too long, and it gets a little bit boring. So weekly is
Yes.
kind of the sweet spot, but we're also
Yep.
exploring like trying other tenor as well.
Yeah, I
Anyways,
mean, eventually,
so
there are those degens that will wanna do daily, even if they lose their hat every single time, and then, of course, there are the slower players that wanna do monthly, but I think this really like you said it the best, like, you found a really nice sweet spot, for people to be able to trade. I mean, my only real question is, like, have you seen there, like, a problem of, uh, like a shitload of gas. Like, let's say virtual drops like the hour after, like, the weekly just shifted. Like, would you see, like, does that create a sort of problem or not really? Because since you still have like another 6 days to sort of accumulate, um, it doesn't change the like weekly view as much as you'd think it would. Um, I guess, like, if you see very volatile fluctuations at the very beginning or very end of the week, how much does that really affect the market that you're trading?
yeah, that is a very good question. So when a pool starts at the beginning of the week, any kind of these kind of sharp spikes, they tend to cause more volatility on the order book. So
Mhm.
naturally, people would widen their spread or just move
Right.
their pricing a little bit, and people might price too high or price too low. Right? So it
Yeah, I mean,
naturally
because you
just
might get blown
yeah.
out, like, the second, like, the next week starts, it might already get blown out, like, depending on your prediction.
Yeah. And towards the end of the week, even if there's a massive spike, people tend to react not so strongly to it because this could be a one-time thing, and even
Right.
if it persists, the weight it has is relatively small. So it has trade-offs to this design. The
Mm.
benefit is that it's definitely harder to manipulate, right? You also don't get blown out by these like weird one-time events that just happen right on the dot when for example, a daily duration. But at the
Gotcha.
same time, right, like it also make things a little bit slightly less exciting because you're basically uh, trading on the whole week and trying to see if that trend is going to sustain or not.
Right.
Um, we are trying to play with some of the different tenors, like 5 days, 3 days, or longer, just to see which one is more interesting. So
Mhm.
even with 7 days, there is definitely enough volatility. Uh, based on my own experience, it can go from like easily up 50% or lose 70% on a weekly basis. So there's sufficient volatility, but I think there's room to further polish.
So let me
Anyways,
see if I understand that correctly. Like you're able to basically reweight some of the like volatility depending on when it happens.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. So for example, right? So the actually right now this book is getting a little bit scared by the virtual. This is definitely a little bit higher than what I saw yesterday because the spike has lifted the mids. But back to
Got
the
it.
original question, right? So once you try to form a view of how much the weekly revenue is going to be, so
Mhm.
most likely people don't have a very precise view, like six
Right.
hundred 99.9, right? It is
Right,
very
right.
hard to do. But a lot of
Yeah, almost
historical data
impossible, yeah.
there,
Even if you're an
yeah,
insider, like, you could be at base, like, I mean, you could be, like, deploying virtuals, doesn't really matter, like, where you are in the ecosystem, like, if you're participating, you still don't really know.
yeah.
I mean, at least
So
precisely.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So and this is also a slight digression. This also makes it less friendly if we try to do this in binary
R
payoff. So, for
Right.
example, if I launch something equivalent on just open a market on Polymarket, right? So,
Mhm.
will the revenue
W
be higher than 700 or lower than 700
Like,
during this
you'd
time?
probably say, like, will it be lower than last week or higher than last week? That'd probably be, like, the weekly question.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And then
yeah,
people
that's
would
fair.
just say yes or no, and then, but it's, yeah, not very interesting and, kinda dangerous as a trader.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's
so
it
even
it's like it's purely gambling in that sense.
Yeah, so even if we structure the question as, okay, a binary payoff, is it going to be higher or lower than previous weeks? And let's say previous weeks was 630. Actually, we know
Mhm.
exactly what. So previous week was 532.6. Then this week, what you're trying to think is, okay, is it going to be higher than 532.6 or lower than 532.6?
Right.
It's very hard to price that precisely because, okay, if it's 532.5, then you lose everything, right?
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that Yeah, and
yeah,
creating a spread for it doesn't work either because, like, then everyone wins or everyone loses, like, yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
yeah. So I think Polymarket, the binary payoff is very good for certain things like, okay, is it Trump
Right,
or
right,
some,
right.
oh, I can't
Yeah,
even
who's gonna be
remember
the
her
president? Yeah.
name.
Oh,
God.
Kamala, yeah, yeah,
Oh God, sorry. Oh my
yeah.
God.
It took me a second too, I'm like, "Who's he trying to talk about?" Yeah.
Wow, time flies.
Seriously.
Anyways,
Seriously flies.
yeah. But if you're pricing something that's financial, right? This continuous payoff is much more friendly compared to something that's binary. So we try to give a lot of data, events to have qualitative view and a lot of historical data. We also have build our own Dune dashboard that tracks a lot of base gas patterns. So you can access from here. You just open the different tabs. But anyways, so it's here. So that we can give people more tool to analyze what the trends are. And this actually is much easier than people expect. It seems very scary at first because you're just like, how would form a view on how much revenue base is going to make? But there's a very strong correlation to new contract deployment, total active users, these kind of metrics. You can use those metrics to derive a pretty pretty close view on
Right.
where the trend is going to be. So now, now the order book is a very is a very straightforward order book. I mean, there's some UI improvements that we can keep making. So essentially, you're betting on, okay, you can long from 700, which is the level currently is. This is definitely the mid is definitely elevated because the market makers got scared by this thing.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at this and I think this is clearly very overpriced, right? So I think
Right.
it's more profitable for me to short from 675 because look, like the previous week it was just 532 and
Hmm.
this is already 400, and I don't think even with the spike this is going to go over 672. Sorry, 675. So so yeah, I'm going to short from I'm going to bet that it's going to be lower than 675. And so
Well, and right
and
now,
I
for
can
example, like I guess I'm really curious, like how does the pricing change over time, like at the beginning of the week versus now? Because now it's like, towards the end of the week, quote unquote. So it's like it makes a little bit more sense, like unless there's like some crazy event that happens, like this is a pretty good trade. So like at the beginning of the week, what does the spread sort of look like?
Yeah, I don't remember on top of my mind for this one,
Hmm.
but it's usually much wider in the beginning of the week. It's natural, right? Because there's much more unknown
Right.
for going into the week,
Right.
especially if there's more volatile events going into the week. But but if the previous week is not that volatile, even at the beginning of the week, it's not going to be volatile because when pricing these things, that you kind of you don't really think about things from like a week to week basis,
Right.
but something more continuous. Yeah. So
Right.
anyway, I took the order just now,
Saw that.
and
Yeah. Very cool.
yeah, so
Super
I'll
simple.
be yeah, so now I have a position to, yeah, so I use the new wallet so that it doesn't cluster the view. Oh yeah, so I'm immediately up 4.3% because
Hey, love to see that. And
yeah,
and
so
this and the size, like, it's point one ETH is the size of the trade?
oh sorry, the point one is point one shares.
Ah,
This is a
got it,
pretty tiny order,
got it, got
but
it.
the total payment that I pay is 0.01.
Oh, super cool. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
it's
you're buying.
this is a tinier trade. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, got it, got it. You're buying shares of the pool. Could you explain a little bit about the, like, who's creating the pool and, like, where liquidity is coming from?
Yeah. So Alkimiya creates the pool. We create the
Yeah,
pool every week,
right.
and the pool is kind of the share liquidity, and the order book is powered by professional market makers, and
Got
we also make some orders, but much small in comparison. Um, so for something like this, it's pretty hard to do AMM just because,
it.
yeah,
Right.
actually, long story short, if we try to do AMM, I think the LPs are gonna complain very quickly. So,
Yeah, I would assume so, yeah.
yeah, and also just weekly expires are a little bit difficult to manage.
Extremely.
So, yeah, so we rely on professional market makers. We
Mhm.
market make ourselves, but we are also building a market making vault. So just
Oh,
the
super
classic
cool.
HLP style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that it's easier to because there are actually some correlations between different markets, so it's possible for a HLP vault to have positions on multiple different markets.
Well, I mean, and if you're trading this all day long, I mean, you might as well just LP the market making vault, and if you genuinely see value in it, of course other people will as well.
Yeah, So I'm not going to take the opposite side, even though I should for illustrative purposes, but I just can't see this as a good trade.
Yeah. I mean,
But I might
so
even,
I
yeah,
I think you did talk about this a little bit, but how exactly is the spread determined?
market makers.
So, like, the market makers, have full control over you and your team uh, don't worry about the spread, like, whatsoever.
Oh, we can also create orders. So anyone can create orders. Anyone can create orders to populate the book.
Oh,
So
okay.
for example, yeah, so for example, I think like 700 is pretty stupid, right? And
Right, right, right.
I'm willing
Well, you'd
yeah.
buy, like, 500 or, like, you know what I mean? What is the minimum you could buy right now? Like, if you did a limit order, it would be what the price currently is, or what the
Well, so
total cumulative gas currently is?
yeah, so I'll be creating a new order, right? I'll be creating a new order, and the implied total gas will be just whatever I want it to be. So for example, I think 700 is too high. I'm willing to short it at 700. Sorry, 660. And size is one share. And so for in order to if I want to short it at 660
Mhm.
with one share size
Yeah,
and zero point 0.1 will be what I have to pay for this contract. And
12 hours, got it.
uh, yeah, oh, actually, did I write 12? Oh, 12 is a bit long, but whatever. So then this is my order, and anyone can come and take it. So
Got it, okay. Super
there's
cool.
no there's no guarantee that this is going to this order is going to get filled, right?
Right.
Especially if people are not watching closely, and yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. Very, very cool. This is super cool.
Yeah, and trade history. I want to make the trade history a little bit more obvious so that people can see how other people are trading. I think that's one UI improvement that we want to
I am
make.
really curious.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were I'm really curious on the long side just because of, like, there's already, what, like, 500 something, cumulative ETH, so you would want to long from, like, what the price currently like, why not just long from where price currently is, right? Or where cumulative gas currently is.
Mm. So currently it's at 400, but the pool
Right.
hasn't ended yet. Yeah. So starting from 400, you're missing a few days.
Well, it would if you long like, let's say you limit long right now at, and you just put, like, 450 and, you think it's going, to 500. Like, literally, what is the lowest price uh, you could long from?
I see. Yeah. So these numbers, they represents the entire week. But the 400 that you see right now is just 5 days.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want to do some kind of like linear projection, you will have to take 400 divided by 5 and times 7.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because it's missing like 2 days worth of data.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and, like, the final spread is where well, I guess because the way that this works is especially if you're doing a limit order, when you get paid out at the end of the week, or you could, in theory, get paid out, like, prior to the week ending. No, I mean, right? You have to wait till the end of, like, that cycle?
Yeah. End of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the week, you'll be able to claim it back. You'll receive the rep ETH.
And what have you seen as, like, the lowest spread? Like, how tight has been the spread to the actual, like, cumulative gas, like, throughout the week?
Mm. So I've seen as close as like 10 ish in difference, but
Oh, wow.
those times volatility is really low. I think there was one week that was pretty, we were kind of bearish on the activity on this,
But in that
but
situation, you would always want a long, right? Because, like, in theory, it's
yes,
always gonna go slightly higher.
yes. Wow, you're very sharp.
I'm just yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get, like, a full understanding of, like, the way that this market works specifically. Well,
Yeah,
because that I mean, that's my question, right? Like, why wouldn't somebody always try and limit long at the current price, right? Like, it almost seems like free money. But of course, like the market, like market makers are currently up to like 700, so you can't just like market buy 700, like you know what I mean? Like, obviously, you want to short from there. Um,
yeah.
and of course, if there is super volatility, you could still get blown out. But at the end of the day, like it's a pretty good trade, you know?
Yeah. So back to this specific example, right? So for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
so 5 day has passed and it's already 400. And if I would just want to do some like quick and dirty linear projection, right? So 400 divided by 5, 80 times 7, 560. So unless certain thing like changes drastically, I think this pool is probably going to end around 560-ish. So these are definitely just very dramatic reaction because they saw the spike, right? They saw the spike and their algo automatically think that, okay, what if this persists? Um, so be, so they lifted to 700. So I did this linear projection. I think it's going to end around 560. So 700 is definitely way higher than where I expected it to be. So if I feel confident that 560 or even, baking some margin of error of 580, then anything above 580, I'm willing to short.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
In
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so intuitively, right, when the first time I tell people about this market, people's first reaction is like, "Who the fuck would want to short base?" Because it sounds very strong, it's always growing, and, on a very long term time horizon, that is absolutely the case, but short term, on weekly basis, is
Right, right,
it's quite volatile, and there
right,
are other factors that change things. For example, when every time they raise gas limit, right, so gas price actually
right.
reduces, so the revenue also reduces.
That's yeah,
Um,
no, that's so interesting to think about because that's actually
yeah,
probably why like there is less cumulative gas over time. Oh, that makes sense why it's so consistent actually because since they're changing the rate based on like how much revenue they actually need. So it's actually pretty safe to say this is interesting actually. We might have just got some alpha. It's pretty safe to say that like cumulative gas won't go higher than these past several weeks because like they are not manipulating, but like they are like intentionally like raising gas limits, when they can. And now we know
yeah,
what their sort of target is. Like we know what their internal target is for gas because we can literally see. I mean, you have the data right here.
yeah. So I think it's still a little bit hard to pinpoint where exactly the target is because week by week fluctuation is still quite high. Yeah,
Right,
in the,
right, right,
in
right. No, I mean,
the
like,
past,
precisely is still almost impossible, but, like, clearly, like,
yeah.
they wanna stay around, like, 600, like, they wanna stay probably between, like, 400 and 700, like, that's probably, like, their range for cumulative gas, and once it goes, like, past 700, they lower the gas rate, and maybe if it drops too low, they'll raise it, but, I feel like they've been pretty int and this is just, like, from my perspective, right, like, from me watching how the team has been deciding when to raise the gas rates, like or lower the gas rates, it's they clearly have been doing it like week by week, if not like, at least once monthly. So after looking at the chart and like wondering why is it so consistent, um, like they make a certain amount of ETH every week. They need to hit a certain target, and once that target is hit, they can now, and maybe once that target is exceeded, they can now lower the gas rate so they can keep making the same amount of money while like making it easier for and cheaper for all of their users, all of their builders, etc., to use Base.
Yeah, I think that sounds very
Good thesis.
reasonable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
oh, great, great, great.
Yeah, there was definitely a week where it went up to I think 1,200 or something, or even higher. I don't
Do you have a
remember
group
when it
chat
was.
of like traders? Because now I actually want to pay attention to what cumulative gas is when they lower rates.
Hmm.
'Cause, like I
Uh,
feel like we're really getting into like some high alpha territory here, and I wanna start. I need to start bouncing some of these ideas off you guys more often.
yeah, absolutely. And so we haven't started one yet, but I think it's time to get started. So we do have one thing for BTC. This is a whole another thing that we didn't even get to. We do have a BTC fee rate market.
We got plenty of time
Um,
actually. So the next session isn't going to start for another hour after this because the person asked you had to reschedule. So we have plenty of time if you want to keep going.
oh yeah, I can keep going for a little bit
All right, great,
if
great.
that's okay.
And if you have to hop on, no
Yeah,
worries at all. So
cool. We have a BTC fee rate market as well, and so this tracks the average equivalent of a gas price on Bitcoin. The
all
recently
right.
it's a little bit sad,
Oh, so sad.
because the
Yeah.
blocks yeah the blocks pretty empty, but towards the end of last year it was insane. Sorry, chart is taking a while to render. Um, yeah, it was oh okay. Uh, but anyways, sorry. Towards the end of the last year, the Bitcoin fee rate was pretty dramatic. It can go as high as like 50 in a day, and I think with Babylon it went up to like 1,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So we launched the Bitcoin market first before
Oh,
tackling
really?
with yeah, with Base. But the settles
Was
being this market is on Base. So
was
so
that was
so
that
so
what
you
you were specifically interested in trading, or how did you come to that conclusion to start with Bitcoin?
So I spent a lot of time with Bitcoin mining before. This
Okay, great.
is years ago, and so I just
We're
had
familiar.
uh, yeah
Yeah, yeah.
some perspective on this.
Yes, yeah.
Um, this this is a yeah, I would love to show, but I'm poor, unfortunately.
Everyone who's watching, go send him some CBBT, BTC. We
Yeah.
have over 1,000 viewers right now, so it's very likely someone actually would.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
That's great.
Yeah. So, anyways, so recently,
Wait, why
Bitcoin
do you
world
need to
is
pay in
not.
CBBTC? Like, can't you just if the market's on base, can't you just like spend ETH?
Oh, we want to show support to some PCB,
Oh, okay.
PTC,
No,
and
yeah, that's reasonable.
yeah,
And I respect it.
yeah,
Politics
and
still
and
exists.
for, and also because it's actually tracking Bitcoin free rate. So
Okay, got it.
the unit
Official.
is in set. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's actually easier to translate to CBBTC. Sorry, to
That's
BTC,
really cool, actually.
and then you assume CBBTC and BTC is one to one.
And there's
Hopefully.
no events. Like that's what's interesting. Like you're not are you like most people who are trading this, I mean, I'm not sure, how much liquidity or how many people are generally trading this versus the other, but there's not many events. So like what do you think I guess my question for you is what kind of user, what kind of trader do you think is trading this specifically? Like more
Yeah.
institutional or
So Bitcoin is the market is very, very quiet for us, even recently. So you can see the pool volume is pretty sad in
right,
comparison
relatively low,
to
yeah.
the base market. But there was a period of time that was pretty active towards the end of last year. Magic Eden was doing its airdrop, so people were farming a lot of runes. So
Oh, interesting.
from August when this market was live to end of last year, we did about almost 30 million in total transaction volume
Oh,
on the
wow.
Bitcoin
Holy
market.
shit.
And there's no incentive. We don't have any points. I mean, we have points for talking about us on Twitter, but we don't have any activity based points. We don't have trading competition. We don't have none of that. That we were also genuinely surprised. Um, but also at the time, Bitcoin fee rate was absolutely bonkers. It was just
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but now the Bitcoin network struggled to keep its block full.
Right, right. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
was the median transactions
Very
even
sad.
that much more volatile at the time, or the interest was just a lot higher?
It was a lot more volatile at the time. Right?
Okay.
It was going around like 20 set to 50 set, just
Okay, got
jumping
it.
around that like that. Now it's staying at two set. Yeah,
Right,
it's just
right.
yeah.
I mean, I
You
really
don't
don't
even want. Yeah,
I was
sorry.
gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
I really just don't see it becoming like that much more volatile over time either.
Oh, it can definitely surprise you. Yeah.
I am, yeah, I could be
Yeah,
surprised. That's for sure.
yeah. The UI definitely needs the aesthetic definitely needs a little bit more work. I fully acknowledge. But anyways, so for Bitcoin, right? Like I don't even want to short this shit, right? It just doesn't even have that much room to go down at this
Right.
point.
Right. Right. Right.
So but this is the example that we want to show, right? Like that this whole entire thing is on base, but you can trade block space
Oh,
of other things.
love that.
Solana is definitely something that we're very interested in for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
Um, then
That makes sense.
it's a
Yeah.
similar kind of dynamics to Bitcoin, and well, yeah, it's going to be closer to the Bitcoin market where you trade Solana fees instead of Bitcoin fee rate. This way, I haven't quite decided like what the settlement coin is going to be, but we're also thinking just use USDC for everything, just easier once we have a lot of markets.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That makes
but
sense.
yeah,
I mean,
but
of course, like
the
I was gonna say letting people choose, but nah, you don't want to fragment liquidity like that.
yeah,
Unless you do
yeah,
like some sort of relayer where it's just like anyone can trade in any token, just gets automatically converted to USDC or ETH or whatever the market you're making in is. I do
yeah, that could
love
work
the
too.
idea though of like rather than doing medium transaction fee, I love the fact that you're trading like cumulative gas fee or gas. That's really really cool, really interesting. And it makes so much more sense in my opinion, especially like for base where they're always changing the rate like manually.
Yeah, because for base, if we track the gas price, it would just be you can't even see it.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
low.
exactly. Yeah, it literally wouldn't be a market.
Yeah,
But it also is just such a great way to track like general success of base as well. Um, and then yeah, I mean, I like the point that you brought up before as well of like whether you're super bullish or super bearish on base, like doesn't even matter. Like the weekly is the weekly, and it has it really does not matter if you think base will be doing like no transactions next month or infinitely more.
yeah, and also more on that point, right? If you had started longing at the beginning at the beginning of the week,
Right,
where the pricing was much lower, right? The assumed it was much lower before this virtual thing hit. Anyways, anyone who opened long position at the time, they are going to do really really well this week.
right,
But after this spike had happened, and you can clearly see that the market is overpricing this. Right?
right,
So
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
like it
yeah. So
overpricing it by like a large amount, which makes sense why you shorted. And I mean that's
yeah,
why. But like, wouldn't you like when every week starts? Wouldn't you want to long? I mean, and the only scenario that I could see is like if last week was so crazy that this week the spread just started super high and like you're already longing like 700, but it never is going to even get to 700 because cumulative gas that week maxes out at like 500.
yeah, but if the orders are short are starting at that level, most likely it's not going to get taken. So over time they adjust lower as well.
Got it. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So worth
But like,
mentioning that. Yeah,
like
oh,
in,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the last thing on this point is like the only time you'd really want to short like in the beginning of the week is if the spread just starts out super high, like higher than you genuinely think it's gonna go. That like that for that whole week. Like if the
Yeah,
spread like let's say that week the spread starts out where it is now at like 700, you're like okay, like
you definitely
I
short.
think
Yeah,
yeah, you're like I think it will be 600 max. I'll short here and let it rock.
yeah. And also the gas, it has a bit of a decaying effect. So every time it spikes, it will go down. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to go down, but it decays.
I actually I was gonna ask you about this. Can you explain this a little bit more?
Yeah. So the individual spikes are obviously one-off events, right?
Right.
These are times where it doesn't really impact the gas that comes after it, because once this event is done, it doesn't affect the rest of the remaining period. There are periods where if let's
Mm,
say I can't really find an example on this chart, but if let's say there were, oh yeah, this kind of resemble it, right? So it doesn't just usually it's a little bit easier to see that it doesn't just go to zero right away, right? It goes down a little bit because if this is not due to a one-time event, but just due to like a series of activities, like several meme coins that are trading very actively,
Hmm.
then it's not going to be a one-time spike. That it's so if you see all these spikes, they always have
A
it's
slow
skew.
decline. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a slow decline. This phenomenon is actually more obvious on ETH-L1 because the base fee just adjusts, right?
Right, right. Instantly adjust.
After
Yeah.
yeah. So usually the fee, sometimes there's another peak before it slowly decays.
So interesting. So can have you sort of determined like a rate of decay? I mean, it looks like it's pretty consistent, even though it's not instant. It seems like pretty consistent for every spike. But then, like, that's really interesting. The right after the 21st, that's the first spike where it spikes, goes back down, and then spikes again. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember which event it was, but I think something happened here.
May 21st. I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe that was no, that was after Zora. What happened last week?
Uh, May 21st. Does it have something to do with cookie stuff? No, maybe.
No.
Oh, virtual busy launch. Virtual it again.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
yeah, of course.
of course.
Of course. Should have guessed. We should have guessed. I love it.
Yeah,
But have you been able to determine a rate of decay, or maybe that's not even something you've tried to calculate?
it's hard because it has largely to do with the magnitude of the jump.
Right, right.
Obviously, the higher the
Ooh,
jump,
yeah,
it's usually take longer to decay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it also very much depends on the nature of the event. So, for example, this one, the jump is not that high, but it took a little bit longer to recover. This is
Right.
most likely because it's a series of activities rather than like one-time events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super interesting.
but
But, like,
for
so if you see, tell me if maybe this is even, an active trading strategy, but, like, when people do see those spikes, are they, like and it I guess, how often is it that when there is a spike like this that it genuinely affects the spread, like, instantly?
yeah, so for example, the virtual event definitely did. the
Shoulda guessed,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is much higher than what I saw yesterday. I think if I remember, it was still
I
in the
mean,
500,
I'm
low
sure you got that
500.
data somewhere, but is it possible to, like, create a graph for the spread specifically? So we could sort of see the I'm sure it follows the chart to some extent, but I would love to see, like, how the spread is changing over time.
Mm. Yeah, okay. So this is definitely a feature request.
Yes,
Okay,
so let's go.
we can sort of see it on the from the trading history. But oh my God, yeah, look,
Well,
this
because
is
these are
May 25th.
is trade
Oh, okay,
history,
sorry.
market and limit or just markets? Just market buys and sells?
Market.
Okay, great, great. So there's no
Yeah.
limit orders on in the trade history.
Well, uh, it will show up if a limit order gets taken.
Okay, great, great, great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
if
these
because
are
if a
filled.
limit order gets taken, that probably is close to market. I mean, maybe not, but
Depends, yeah. Depends on
yeah,
how
yeah,
smart people
that's hard. That's yeah,
It
that's really
depends.
hard to say. But I am curious of like of the change of the spread over time because I'm really curious at how much the spread is impacted by those events and like how quickly it can sort of like recover. I mean, my question for you was like the reason I got here was if there is a huge spike, like for virtuals, for example, let's say it skyrockets the spread, and then it's a pretty obvious trade to like short from that from that impact.
Yeah, I think so. So, for example, 29th May, right? The trades were still at like 500-ish.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And on
Okay,
28th, there was a trade down at 394, but
crazy.
I think that was not I think this is someone got lucky.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
They only put point 0.1. You know what I mean? If you're inside, you're probably gonna go a lot harder than that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, yeah, 27, these are the areas that was hovering at, right? I mean, it's still a pretty wide fluctuation, but it's definitely much lower than what we are seeing right now after the virtual launch. So you can see that this is how this has affected people's view, or market makers' view.
Got it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
But I guess one thing we can do is we should try to visualize this a little bit better so that people can see how this is evolving. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm genuinely curious about like how much like what kind of spikes impact the spread and how much they impact the spread. Just to get a sort of like idea um of how the spread is moving over time.
Yeah. I think
Like
we
how market makers
can.
are willing to price things depending on certain volatility. Like, because that's the alpha.
Yeah. I think we can publish a more rigorous study on this. We obviously internally we have our model, and we recalibrate
Mhm.
pretty frequently. It's hard to predict things happening if we like these one-time events. It's hard to predict the effect of one-time events other than like, oh, we think it might be hot, but it's hard
Right.
to see, oh, 56, right? So, but fortunately, you don't actually need to uh, predict on that kind of granularity, because if these markets are structured as, oh, how much gas do you think virtual launch is going to push it up to, that hour,
You're right,
I,
right, right. Yeah, that's
it's
another poly
insanely
market.
difficult to trade.
Yeah, another poly market binary question right there. Yeah,
Yeah, and also that would
binary
be insanely hard to trade. You don't even have
tree.
at
No,
least
it's
for
purely gambling. Yeah, there is no trading
yeah.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, at least for this one, you okay. First, you form a qualitative view. Like, okay, there's going to be something really hot, and there's tons of data that you can look at to try to formalize a view, right? And there are leading indicators like active number of users. You can see
Oh my God,
um,
if you went that hard,
TVL
like,
change.
yeah, if you were able to like build enough information around like all of those variables, wow, more power to you. That would be like you might as well just go buy S&P in my opinion. No, but I mean there are like you're definitely right though. There are like some very serious traders who would be able to put enough information together that would say like holy shit, like I definitely know for a fact that like virtuals it's going to push this like between 50 and 70 ETH, but like for someone else to take that side, like the other side of that trade is like you have to be like I mean purely, you know what I mean, like purely gambling, which of course there are plenty of people who would do that, but it would be an impressive amount of information that you'd have to like acquire to have that specific of an idea of where this is going. But to your point, I mean, it's totally possible
Yeah,
or
so
plausible.
yeah, if the motivation is to figure out exactly how much like virtual is going to get, I think that is very difficult. I think that's not a market I personally want to trade in.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right.
yeah,
But
but
there are a
on
lot of
base
variables you
revenue,
could, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No, I
but on
think
base revenue itself, yeah, sorry. Yeah, but base revenue itself, I think it's much easier to do because there are trends that you can look at, and this is the Dune dashboard I was trying to show earlier. We try to have um, um, enough information that can help people establish like what are some things that are correlated to total gas spent, and it's quite intuitive. Like it's all the usual suspect: TVL, total, net flow inflow, amount of active users, total amount of transactions, and they're not perfectly correlated, but you can see trends somewhat, and intuitively it's always these it has to be user related, transaction related metrics that are actually driving the fees.
right, right,
So
right, right.
so these kind of analysis, I mean, they're definitely not as straightforward as like okay, just buying a token, but
Well, I mean, but
but
like,
it's
thankfully,
not.
yeah, like, thank God, yeah.
Yeah. But I think if you want to trade a token well, there's other set of challenge, right? You got to figure out who's holding it, right? Who they are, what kind of percentage they own, and when they're going to dump, and are whether you are confident that you're going to dump before them. That's a whole nother set of analysis that are not easier, right? If you actually are serious about it. But of course, also people mostly just don't care. They just like the logo and they one shot their entire net worth. So that also is a style. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so cool. I can't wait to start testing this out. Yeah. This is so much fun. Um
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Um,
really interested around scroll down just a little bit. I'm really interested on like trying to create a bot that does just do like very, very tight spreads. And maybe it is daily. I mean, maybe it is weekly, but like at the end of the day, like total gas spent is it feels like a ripe opportunity.
yeah,
Like
let's keep
it's
talking.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it is so consistent. Yeah. um I mean, right, like every time price hits what is at that 29 trough, like right where it says 29, what is that trough? What price is that? Well, how much ETH is that? Yeah. So 1 ETH.
Let's look at one day. 19th is 86 for the whole day.
Got it. Okay. So like go even lower than that. What is the go a little bit lower right where it says 17, right at 1746. I mean, there's no point not to, put like, hey, every time this hits 40, and when it goes back to 50, just sell it, right? Like the this is consistent enough that you could definitely get an extremely profitable bot running. And it doesn't even have to be like a large size, it doesn't have to be like as long as the spread is tight enough, you don't even need to have and depending on what you're trading specifically, like you don't even necessarily need to have a stop loss unless it is like super high leverage.
Huh. I haven't even thought about that.
I mean, I feel like I shouldn't even be saying this on live stream because like this is some real alpha here. But I mean, if everyone is copying the trade to some extent, then we now have a market. So I mean, let's keep talking about it.
Yeah,
um,
definitely have to share some of the data research that we've done. We haven't
I'm so
published.
curious. Where could people go
Yeah,
to read some of this? I know when Lambo's in the chat, so I mean, if he wants to start posting links here, I see him. He's talking about a few things. He responded to we were asking a question. He said virtuals was the answer. So when Lambo, feel free to post some links in the chat to bring people where you'd like them to go. If not, Leo, feel free to. There's a private chat right here if you want to throw some links in there for me to share with everyone.
yeah.
And
I think
also,
we can. Yeah,
I
sorry,
was
go
just gonna
ahead.
say, and the I'd love to read more of the research as well. So if you have a link to some of that as well, feel free to send that.
Yeah. So on base revenues, uh, uh, specifically, I think we can clean up a little bit and publish something really really good. We had the intention to do that, but we've just been very busy. But we have all the data.
Mm, yeah, no, that makes sense. So let's say I do want to trade this like total gas spent. Do you see yourself being able to create a market for this like outside of the like the weekly uh the weekly pools that you guys have created?
So what kind of frequency or length would you prefer?
I man, that's such a good question. I want to say daily, but it like if it's over a long enough time, like if it is like two like biweekly or even monthly, then you can just sort of set it and forget it and just say like, hey, like, every time price hits this, and sells this, and then just let people trade throughout the entire month and just kind of like trade where they want to. Um I'm trying to think about what the perfect market is for me here.
Okay,
uh,
can
yeah,
I
yeah,
offer something? So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
so we realized pretty early on that these weekly expiries are very counterintuitive for people in crypto. Even
Right, right, right,
myself,
right.
sometimes I think it's like, oh my God, it's another week. So after the LP vault, we are going to push a taker vault. So the taker vault is just the format that it presents, but essentially what it does is that it keeps rolling over, automatic roll over from pool to pool to pool, such that the vault token is ERC20 that never expires. Every pool, you're essentially just paying the funding rate. Right, it's equivalent
Right,
to
right,
paying
right.
funding rate. So that ERC20 will just be a token that represents the long-term trend of how fast the base revenue grows. So people can just simply hold on to it. It's much easier to integrate to other DeFi protocols. It's a pretty good collateral to use as for lending protocols, and you don't have to worry about weekly expiry. You can be less sensitive about the short-term pricing of these things. Um, and yeah, it just becomes a much easier thing to interact with for most people.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Um, if you, I mean, because it doesn't. What do you even necessarily need a time frame for? Like, if we're trading the actual like base total gas spent, like what if you just created a price that follows? Like, what if you created a market and like a token that follows the price of like base total gas spent?
Yeah, so we definitely need to define like a period. Otherwise, it'll go to infinity. And
Well, what?
and
Wait,
the
would it
cl-
though? Because like what? Like, hmm, like what is the possibility of you being able to track like to have the token track the exact amount of like the price of the token to track the exact amount of ETH, right? Like how ridiculous of an idea is that?
Yeah, so if it's a CDP, it definitely goes to like it's because you still want to be able to have collateral that reflect that this is actually going up, right? So in order to do that,
Mm,
the
I
problem
see,
is
I
just the
see.
collateral amount will
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
growing.
yeah.
So weekly gives it a chance to refresh. Obviously, even monthly gives it a chance to refresh. But I think even monthly, the I think like it's okay, but it's just I think a month is very long to
Right, right. Weekly
to
still makes more sense,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe it would have to be daily, but it would be really cool to find a way to be able to like trade the exact amount of ETH that's being spent.
Yeah, I think Base would have to do that themselves in order for the collateral not to
Right,
go to infinity. Yeah,
right,
because
right.
they will have to issue like a
That's
claim to their treasury.
right, right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really interesting though. It would be a good revenue source.
Yeah, I think they probably will have some other, challenges, to that they have to go
Some
through in order to
regulatory
do
challenges.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
they're basically issuing a stock, right? Like a
No,
stock
100%.
is yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why I was asking, like, if you could do it. If a third
I
party
mean,
could manipulate you.
if I can issue a token for Base.
Like, thank you, base gods.
Yeah. But I think the ERC20 version of this, right? So the one that ultimately rolls over from pool to pool, such
Yes.
that users don't actually have to care about all these little things like pricing. Oh, 600, 700. It's just too much
Mhm.
to think about. So that token is something that you can just grab it. You can just let it sit there, and you can forget about it if you have a strong long term view on Base. So if even, if let's say base token doesn't exist for a very long period of time, that token is a pretty good proxy to base fundamental. In
Right.
fact, it's probably even cleaner than base fundamental. Sorry, like
Right.
whatever token it is, because it will follow very closely to the revenue itself.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think that would be really, really interesting. I'm trying to think if you would want to do like like that would actually be hilarious if it was like total cumulative amount of revenue and the token actually just follows like it just keeps going up and up and up because it's following like actual revenue.
That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, that
It
would
still
be the
has to.
best infinite trade.
Yeah, it does have to exchange funding with the short side once a
Right,
while,
right,
but that's from the token holders perspective. They don't need to deal with that because the
right.
rollover is yeah.
No, but you're right. You would literally have to essentially issue a stock. And
Yeah.
I would buy it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There is a market for it.
Yeah, I'm afraid like Coinbase stock is probably the it already exists,
It
so
is a proxy.
it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, it's really interesting. I really love the fact that you built this. It's a really interesting product. I'm trying to think of like other products around it that would be interesting as well. But like, I mean, you probably
yes.
have,
I
yeah,
love
you've
to.
obviously put a lot of time and research into this. I doubt, on this live stream I'll be able to up with something better. But doesn't mean I'm not going to keep trying.
I do want to give a trailer to the next product that we're launching.
Yeah, please.
Well, first of all, the UI they're all going to improve, and I fully aware that there's room for improvements. But so the next market is going to be a USDC total supply. So as you know, like there's just no really good way to gain exposure to the growth
Stable
of
coins in
stable
general.
coins.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So even if you, and it doesn't really like holding USDC other than earning yield, it doesn't really give you anything. So that market will let you trade the total supply of USDC itself. So
Mm.
and,
Imagine
and that.
I wish we had that for Tether back in the day. I mean, oh my God.
Oh, and we're going to launch one for Tether as well. But Tether is going to be pretty flat.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no volatility there.
It's
But
yeah.
USDC, yeah, USDC for example, the total supply of USDC grew like 35% in just a span of since Trump became president,
Right.
and that's just several months. And for something that big to grow 35% in just that short
Insane.
amount of time,
Yeah.
it's pretty insane. Yeah. Um, and so I think there's definitely something pretty interesting to play there other than USDC, USDE, Dodo, all these stablecoins, or USD1, obviously. Their total supply are markets that we intend to support as well.
That is really, really interesting. Are you going to create like, let's say you have USDC, USDT, DAI, a few others. Are you going to create a sort of like basket as well for people just to trade the basket?
So
Maybe it won't make sense
one
too.
one one thing that we think is might be slightly more interesting than basket is
Mhm.
a ratio of USDC supply divided by the ratio of USDT total supply.
Mm.
So essentially, you trade a more targeted dominance ratio of equivalent, but imagine something like USDE total supply divided by USDC total supply. So by longing and shorting, you basically express the view that okay, USDC is going to. Oh, sorry. What example did I use? USDE or USDC? USDE
Yeah.
is going to grow faster than USDC in a short amount in the
Oh
next
God.
period of time, and it's
So
very
you
capital
wait.
efficient.
Let me see if I understand. You want people to trade the dominance, like rather than like create their own basket depending on the dominance of that basket.
Yeah,
Because
because
there's like yeah.
it's yeah. Because I think where stablecoin market right now is everyone knows it's going up. knows
Right,
that
right, right,
stablecoin is just going to keep eating the rest of the world. So I think there's no point shorting it, right? There's just no point
right, right. Yeah,
taking other
it's
side.
impossible. Yeah, impossible to find someone to take the other side.
Yeah, even if
Actually,
you think it's like
actually, I will say, like, probably within the next like 3 to 5 years, you could probably find a lot of traditional heads. I mean, maybe this made more sense for the last 5 years, but like, there's still probably a lot of traditional players who like want to quote unquote short crypto.
yeah.
And like that wouldn't be a bad way.
Yeah.
Like you could attract a lot of stupid people, into like the opposite side of your trade, just because they like are so confident that the crypto is going to go down because they haven't done any research. Like that
Yeah.
literally that was the
Mm.
game, for a while, especially for Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Like it was very obvious, banks would be here. Like and after 2021, banks finally started buying up Bitcoin, and like we all knew they were going to. But prior to that, there were still a lot of people that were very willing to short Bitcoin. I mean, just remember like the Peter Schiffs of Twitter, who just
Yeah,
constantly, talking about
he's
how
doing pretty
bearish they
well
were.
though.
Yeah, on Bitcoin. And like, of course, this is what drives price. Like, this is what drives like insane volatility is the fact that there's enough people willing to short something that is literally going to go up. And it just everyone blows up and price blows up because of it. It blows up, positively.
Yeah, I would love to attract that crowd. The only challenge is that in order for them to short it here, they have to figure out how to bridge to base. They have to figure out how to get ETH on base. But
Yeah.
if Jesse can solve that onboarding problem, yeah, I
Ooh,
think
I mean, I if anyone can solve it, it is Base and Jesse. So,
yeah, that's why we're here.
oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so back to what you were talking about. So that you like in theory, like at least at first, you won't necessarily like allow people to create their own basket of stable coins. You won't necessarily offer a product that is a basket of stable coins. You'd rather like people trade the level of dominance between them.
Yeah, I think there's nothing inherently wrong with creating basket. It's just I think
What's the point?
it's yeah, everyone assumes it's going up, right?
Right, right.
And I think it's easier to short like a single stable coin. For example, if you really hate USD1 for some reason, you think it's just
Yeah.
you know very uncool for some reason, and
Literally.
so you can build a case for shorting it, but and how if you think that okay, the more pro US stablecoins are going to eat the market share of USDT. Um, you can even build a case to short USDT total supply as well. But I think if you have a whole basket of different, a diverse set of stablecoins, I think it's harder to short.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
so the first thing you let people do is trade the overall supply, and then the second thing you'd let people do is like trade like the dominance of USDC versus USDT in the rest of the market. Would you create like you'd say like, hey, here are the five stable coins, and like here's their current level of dominance, or would you like had to bring in like I guess my only real question around this is like how many stable coins are you willing to bring in? Like what does their level of dominance in the market have to be for you to like add it to this market?
Mm. So I think, for example, if there is a smaller stablecoin that people are particularly excited about and it's rising really fast, which I personally expect that to happen more and more. I think over the next 2 years, 3 years, we're going to see every month we're going to see some random financial institution, some life insurance companies start to fucking issue their stablecoin, right?
Yeah,
AT&T
100%.
issue their stablecoin.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh god, here we go, yeah.
Oh, we're definitely gonna see that. We're definitely gonna see that. So,
Yeah.
so in that world, then it doesn't really make sense to trade their dominance because their dominance starts at zero point zero zero zero
Right.
one percent. Yeah, but something but something we can do is we can do, for example, even for USDE, right? If USDE dominance ratio is not that high yet, but if we do USDE total supply divided by USDC total supply first of all, those two are more apples to apples,
Mhm.
and the the growth is more interesting to bet on because betting on, for example, USDE, USD ones, their growth relative to USDT is not that interesting because USDT
Right.
is much larger. It's more flat. But if you bet on the relative rate of change between USD one versus USDC, that would be an interesting case because they're both like American institutional stable coin. USDC is a little bit earlier, but USD1 is royal family, right? So you can create a case that one is going to run like USD1 can grow faster than USDC. Uh, it's very possible you can form that view, or vice versa. If you think that there's nothing, whatever reason. So I think that pair will be much more interesting to trade rather than okay USD one's dominance ratio of total stable coins.
Well, right, because there's a few different variables here, right? Because like if you create a threshold where it's like, all right, now this stable coin is now 1% of total stablecoin supply in the entire world. Now we're adding it to like this market. But of course, like that now changes like the dominance between all the things in the market. So if you're trading like, hey, I think USDC is gonna go, to this level of dominance, but then you add, you add a stable coin to the market, it's gonna like change the variable in a way that traders are not gonna be happy with. So like if you were to
Yeah.
like for you to be able to change that market over time, it does seem genuinely difficult, but you know, I'm sure there is a way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and also I think just by putting them into a pair, uh, makes it easier to get the
Oh,
fanboys
wait,
to come
you
and play
so
this
like
trade.
in your mind, like the way that this stablecoin market will work is like you're only trading dominance between these two coins. Like you're not like I'm not trading like, oh, I think these are the five stable coins, and like I think USDC is gonna go up 5% against all of these other stable coins. You're literally only trading the pair, like USDC
Yeah,
versus USDT. Okay,
yeah,
got it, got it. That helps my understanding actually a lot more
yeah.
because I
I
was
think
thinking like, yeah, like because you just have to create like certain thresholds where like if you're adding certain stable coins to this like basket of like of dominance, there's just so many variables to account for.
yeah. Yeah. So similarly, something we've been thinking about for base, right? We have base, and if we do arbitrum total revenue, we can
Yeah.
do a base versus arbitrum ratio, revenue ratio, or something like that.
Ooh. Oh, that's really interesting actually.
And we can get arbitrum people to be very angry. Well, actually, is there anyone left on arbitrum? Okay, maybe hyper
Yeah,
EVM,
I mean,
mega ETH.
there's still a lot of liquidity in arbitrum. Yeah, yeah, I think I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
the community is definitely like waning for sure, but I mean the liquidity is not.
yeah. So, for example, if mega ETH is actually interesting, all right, we can
Mm,
do something like mega ETH total revenue divide by base total revenue,
right.
a ratio like that, and we can get the mega ETH community to come over here to base to trade this
Yeah,
thing.
that would be super interesting. I I
Yeah,
think that is like Mega ETH is in a very interesting position, right? Because like their entire pitch is using a centralized sequencer, but like so is Base, and like Base is already live on mainnet, So like I mean it almost feels like Mega ETH doesn't have a leg to stand on anymore, but the community still is very rich. I mean, I respect, the people building not only Mega ETH, but the people building on Mega ETH. So like they're very smart people, genuinely passionate about like building some of these like very high quality products. So at the end of the day, like there may be it might be a small builder ecosystem, but it's still a very talented and flourishing builder ecosystem on Mega ETH. However, like how do you know what I mean? How do you compete? I mean, of course, like might not be able to answer this question. I'm just kind of throwing it out there because I've been asking myself this. Like, how does Mega ETH compete with Base?
yeah. I mean, if you have a view, you can trade the mega ETH versus base revenue ratio in CFAF.
I do have a view, yeah. But of course,
Yeah.
like yeah, Mega ETH revenue will the ratio should only go up over time in theory, just because there is no revenue yet.
That's very true.
So, like, if you want, as soon as Mega ETH launches, if you create this pair, let me know. I'll be the first one to buy it.
Sounds good.
That would be really interesting though, because like, of course, at first it's gonna go up, but like if base revenue like seriously outpaces Mega ETH revenue, like like let's say the ratio is like 0.1, and then base just really starts to outpace Mega ETH, and it just never goes higher than zero point 0.1. The ratio never goes higher, and it just sort of fluctuates between like zero point 0.1 and 0.05. That would be really really interesting.
Yeah, and that would be a really powerful data point to shut people up when they start to yell things on Twitter about
No, that's great. It's the new
something is
like
better than the other thing.
yeah, no, it's literally the new like ETH Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's literally the new
Yeah,
like ETH Bitcoin ratio. Like
yeah. Just talk to us when it exceeds 0.1.
yeah, literally. Yeah. Wait, that's great. That's so great. I mean, at the very least, these are really good talking points, really good for distribution. So, I mean, if that's what the product provides, then still value add.
Yeah. So very excited for the markets that we're going to push.
I love it. I love it. What market are you most excited for? Like would you personally like to trade the most? Like or do you like building these things more than even like trading them? Like what is your level of like interest in actually using some of these products?
So yeah, personally, I'm not that great of a trader. I actually lost more money on this than but I think
I mean, but you
uh,
also have to test it out, so that makes sense. You have to test and prod.
yeah, for sure. But some of our colleagues have gotten really, really good, and I think I'm just making donations to them at this point, and some of our community member have gotten really, really good too. Um, But personally, I would want to trade a hyperliquid open interest versus Binance open interest
Mm,
ratio. I think that's and not only that's a pretty topical indicator, but I think that index alone kind of represents a lot of how which version of the world we're going, right? and,
right,
and,
right, right,
and
right.
I would like to see that, and I would like to trade that.
Maybe that's even good, like a hyperliquid revenue versus base revenue. Like that actually would be a really good product. So why actually this is a good conversation to have as well. Why not build this on Hyperliquid?
I've gotten this question earlier today,
Oh, really?
actually. Yeah. Someone literally asked me this question today. So one, I think Hyper EVM is not quite ready yet, right? So
Mm,
that's very, very practical point. And I think
right, right. That makes
any
sense.
projects building Hyper EVM is going to face one single question: is that okay? Are people users of Hyperliquid going to even care, right?
Hmm,
So I think this is a blessing of a curse of Hyperliquid. They have a very, very strong product. It's very well defined, and it's equal. But however, its ecosystem is a little bit eclipsed compared to the product itself. Unless there is a very well defined funnel where Hyperliquid can like things that build on Hyper EVM can find its way to
hmm.
Hyperliquid's liquidity. Then
Right,
otherwise, I
right,
think
right.
it's a bit gimmicky. At
And
least
will it even reach
my
users?
observation
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense because at the end of the day, like this is my biggest bear I guess bear case slash thesis for Hyperliquid is like most of the people that were using Hyperliquid were using it to farm it. Once they got the airdrop, like etc., like now they either hold hype or they do nothing. You know what I mean? Like they either sold their hype or they just hold hype. Most of those people who are
Yeah.
holding hype like don't even trade anymore, right? So like their trade is hype. So it's like this is one of the problem with these like perpetual exchanges, right? Is like once like everyone wants somebody else to be actually using the perps, while they would just want to be the one like eating from other people using the perps. So if like no one is actually using the perps, then like there is no business, right? Like there's no revenue, like price is not stagnating, etc. So and of course like there are plenty of people actually using hyperliquid perpetuals, and like there is a market for it. But at the end of the day, the market for people who want to buy hype is so much larger than the market of people there that want to like use the perps themselves. So, like I feel like there's such a clear ceiling here, and like at the end of the day, like we've we've definitely reached that ceiling, just based on like current market cap of hype. And there's just not much room to grow, like because like everyone who would be using them is using it now, and over time, maybe like over like a decade, 2 decades, like that number will grow. But like it's not like people who were born 18 years ago are now like getting their parents' money and like putting it right and like using perps. Like it's not even you can't even use like housing market like bubble type narratives to justify growth. You know what I mean? Like it's the market of people who use perps and will continue to use them and like use them successfully enough to keep using them is just like so fucking small.
Yeah, it's a good product though.
But it's a great product. You know what I mean? Like that's why like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
like it works very well. And if you do want to use like perpetuals, you are going to use hype. Like,
yeah,
so it's not to say like it isn't a really good product. It's just say like the ceiling is very clear.
yeah. I think the relation between token and the product is forever going to be a curse
Mhm.
for crypto, a blessing and a curse, right? So going back to something, circling back, something we talked about at the very beginning of this call, this show.
Already bringing it full
Um,
circle.
yeah, Base doesn't have a token.
Base does not have a token. You heard it here first, folks. Actually, you heard it here again, folks.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's doing really well, and it will continue to do well. And so I think there's something really, really beautiful and amazing about it.
And I do think like as someone who is a bit of a decentralization maxi comparatively to most in the space, like most people are like, oh, no one cares about decentralization, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I think that is bullshit. I think people do care about decentralization. Yeah, maybe not the average user who's never even, heard of what decentralization is. Of course, they don't know yet. But like as people learn, and learn about like everyone knows what a bottom up initiative, like everyone knows what it is like to do something bottom up versus top down, and to think like people don't care about that is like it's bullshit, right? Like people genuinely do care about like grassroots initiatives. That's not something that's even like debatable, right? But the level of decentralization, yes, like this is what's in question. And I think at the end of the day, like as base continues to reach new stages, it will become slightly more decentralized over time. But like people's biggest like gripe with base is like, look, if the sequencer is centralized, like base is completely centralized, like what is even the point of using this? Like we've now moved like too far away from the ethos. But at the end of the day, like you know what I mean, like who at base is going to be censoring transactions like that? Like you can't really, like in practice, it like, or I should say like in theory, you can say like base is centralized, right? But like in practice, right? Like where is the centralization actually going to be a bottleneck? Like where is it going to be used and abused? Like I don't really, see that happening, because as soon as that does happen, you now like have a reason for people to no longer use it, right? Like incentives just aren't aligned in a way. And this is why I love crypto, right? Like it's all about incentive structures, and like incentives aren't aligned in a way where like Base could just like start censoring transactions, right? Like it's there's levels to this game. And like if you feel Base is like too centralized and it's not even like crypto or whatever, it's I don't even think that's like a valid argument, because like at the end of the day, like if you genuinely think base is going to censor you, or is going to hinder you specifically from using the chain for whatever reason, like it's just not true in my opinion until we see it happen.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, and
I
if
agree.
base,
I haven't really, I don't even think I've said that on live stream before, or I haven't even said it to many people. That's just like my personal like point of view.
yeah, and
I'm
if
do you
base were
agree?
to
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, if Base were to decentralize these sequences, which they have expressed that desire, but
Hmm.
I don't think they just found the right technical solution yet.
Right, right.
Worth mentioning, if they were to explore shared sequencing in some way or manner, most likely with L1 validators, this is going to become much more volatile. Yeah,
No, that's a great point. It's yeah, one, like it is something that they have expressed interest in. Two, like there is no like technical like answer to this question yet. It's literally why Mega ETH is like raised to do the same thing. Raise money on saying that they're going to do the same thing, and Mega ETH has been spending a shitload of time and money on building out like the technical functionality to make it possible. So at the end of the day, like you know, if it makes sense and you can have super high throughput, super high TPS, like by slightly decentral, like while decentralizing sequencer, like yeah, it makes sense to. So I don't think that's like even a deterring factor, because once it is technically possible, like it probably is gonna be what happens. Like there's really no reason for it not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the infra, it's insane, how much we've progressed in infrastructure over the last 5 years. Even though liquidity has been fragmented, everyone's been raising for a different L1. Everyone's then was raising for a different L2. If this wasn't the case, we would probably got here a lot sooner. But it's part of the game. It's part of the incentive structures, and we gotta play the cards that we're dealt. I'm just glad that we're finally here at a place where like base exists and people are ready to start building consumer applications and starting to reach real people. Um, like this is what I've been waiting for. I thought like we'd be here in like 20 like back in 2017. I thought we'd be here like 2022 at the latest. The fact that it's taken this long to like get consumer level applications and to get things like Farcaster is like, I mean, just thank God. Like I'm just so glad we're finally here, man. Like that's it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long few years.
It's been extremely long and unnecessary. And people are like, "Oh, why hasn't ETH's price gone up?" And it's like, dog, you've literally been investing in everything but ETH like for the last 5 years. Haven't built any infrastructure. Haven't like built any consumer applications, and you think prices are gonna keep going up? Like, like what are you guys smoking over there? Like it doesn't even make sense. Like like of course traders who build absolutely nothing, you know what I mean, are complaining constantly about ETH's price, and it's like, what value have you created for ETH that price should keep going up? Like the ETH Foundation and like all these Ethereum builders, core devs, etc., have been like putting in the work. But of course, like everyone else has been trying to circumvent that work, maybe even recreate and copy that work and raise the same amount of money by literally doing either the same thing or something slightly different. So like it's ridiculous, man. Like it's actually ridiculous how the market has evolved, or was evolving. You know what I mean? Thank God we're finally getting past it. But like, in my opinion, like it's embarrassing. Like being a part of crypto and like for that to have been like how incentives like became aligned is just like absolutely asinine. Where it's like, hey, there's this cool crypto thing, and instead of like buying into that and like building infra for that and like building consumer applications on top of that, where like other people are going to use it, let's just raise to do the exact same thing from investors that haven't touched this technology yet. Like, sounds good. Like, great, let's go do it. Let's go fleece our parents, our grandparents, and all their friends on how this technology is so amazing. But instead of actually like using that money to build out good tech, let's just like pocket the money and leave the ecosystem. And then everyone wonders like why prices are going up. It's like, dog, like you are the problem. Like you literally fragmented liquidity.
Yeah, so everyone should come to base.
Exactly. Let's start
Yeah.
centralizing liquidity. As a decentralization maxi, everyone needs to be centralized on base. No, but yeah, we definitely need to focus on continuing to build good infra. It really is that simple in my mind. And like now that the infra is finally here, like let's just build consumer applications. That's why I've been pushing so hard for people to build mini apps. I mean, dude, if this isn't a mini app yet, it definitely should be.
Yeah, we're definitely considering it. Yeah, I think it's just the manpower.
Dude, it
Yeah, I mean,
literally
there's
takes
so many things we want to do.
takes like 15-20 minutes, not even gonna lie. Like it's already like a full-blown website. All you have to do is turn into a mini app. I mean, we could even help you. We could help you on live. It won't take very long at all. So like, and you'll get instant distribution, right? Like, I assume you're familiar with Morpho.
Yes.
Yeah, so the Morpho mini app that Samuel Huber's a big part of Homebase as well. He created the Morpho mini app, and it's still like one of the like top 10 mini apps on Farcaster, like in terms of usage. So like people love using mini apps. People love using DeFi related products, gaming related products, you name it. People just love using mini apps because it's so simple, so easy to use, and they don't even have to leave Farcaster. So for me to be able to like do this right in the Farcaster UI is just like it'd be a dream come true.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it. Yeah, I have to be honest, I haven't looked into the implementation details, so I just assume it's going to take a lot of work.
No, no, it's
Yeah,
really, really easy.
good to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. I swear to God, it won't take you more than 20 minutes. And if you are like, let's say you spend 5 minutes looking into like how to do it, you should look up minikit on base. Use minikit, and if you like take a look for like 5 minutes, and you're like, okay, this is gonna take me like longer than 20 minutes, but and I also don't really know what half of this stuff means. Just hit me up, and I'll put you in contact with Rafi or Sammy Huber. I mean, two absolutely cracked mini app developers who will be able to help you. So don't worry about it if it seems like it's something bigger than you can chew off, because like we can make sure it's easy for you to handle.
That sounds amazing.
This is why we're here. This is why we're on home base. In fact, like most of the devs that I've been bringing on over the past like 2 weeks have been mini app builders, just because like I've been using Farcaster a lot recently, and whenever I see a cool mini app, I'll literally just DC the person and just be like, "Yo, like, want to come on home base live?" And half, literally, like 50% more, or 50 to 60% of the time, they're like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." They come on, we showcase the mini app. We iterate on the product a little bit. I tell them what I love, tell them what I hate, and then they either like start iterating live and just start live coding, vibe coding, or just come back on a week later and re-showcase the product. So it's been like a really like cool experience to sort of like work with people live, and for them to get like instant feedback from the audience, and instant distribution as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely something we want to look at. I'm so convinced.
Perfect.
Also, this is the tightest spread I've seen probably in a while
Oh,
or
nice.
ever.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
this is just happened. Interesting.
Here, let me
Okay.
make full screen
Yeah.
again so everyone can see it. I because I brought us back up. All
Yeah.
right. What do we have?
Fascinating.
Oh wow! Holy shit! Oh, that's super interesting. Okay. And what
Yeah.
is total cumulative at right now?
400.
All right. That is really great. Maybe it's time to make a trade. Yeah, that is impressively tight. Okay. Super cool. And have you been getting interest from other market makers? Have market makers been reaching out to you like, "Hey, this is something that we'd love to participate in?" Or do you still have to do most of the BD at this point?
We definitely still have to do most of the BD, but if any market makers in the chat want to speak with us, definitely open.
I do know one who would probably be interested, but I almost guarantee you probably have already talked to him, because he's like one of the biggest market makers on base. So I assume that probably something you're. And actually, it's an event. I met him at a base event in New York where I also met Wen Lambo. So probably very likely that you already are connected. But I can off the live stream. I can see if you already talking to that person, and then if not, I can intro.
Sounds good. Appreciate that.
Of course, of course. So is there anything else that you're thinking of in terms of like vision? Like, where do you see this product in like in 1 to 2 years? Like, you just see yourself like continuing to add cool products and just continuing to like grow the user base, and hopefully like you'll start to see it like a network effect of like people coming for one product using the others.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of markets that we want to explore, especially in different subcategories, right? I think stablecoin metrics is very interesting. And the other revenues that we want to do, pump.fund revenue, right? Stuff like that. So I think there are a lot of possibilities that we can explore. And especially if when we put projects metrics against each other, one launchpad's revenue divided by another launchpad's revenue, and these are things that can get people pretty riled up. So there are a lot of combinations that we want to try. At least that's
Mhm.
the I think for the short medium term, that's going to be our goal. And few things that I mentioned, the LP vaults to improve the liquidity across the board, and as well as the mechanism, we call it the refinery, that turn these calendar expiries into like a perp token, like ERC20 that you can hold on. You can use it to
Yes.
as collateral in other DeFi protocols, right? Just to
Legend.
extend this protocol's ability to integrate with others. I think these are the areas of focus that we want to do really, really well. And over time, we also want to, decentralize our Oracle component. This is a very, very critical stack of our, I think, any prediction market or slash futures market.
Mm,
Um, that part we want to do be a little bit more ambitious when it comes to how decentralized it is.
mhm.
I mean, this is still something that we need to spend a lot of time on, but that will be our long term goal.
Yeah, that is super, super cool. I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes and see what other products you guys are adding. I think the stablecoin product is really, really interesting too, especially around like ratios. And it's also just interesting to think about like once you do add like Solana, for example, cumulative fees and like then people being able to trade like that ratio specifically. Like there's just so much that you can do. So I'm just really curious. I'm also really curious where the appetite is like for most traders. Like what has probably been like the number one most requested product that you don't currently offer?
Yeah, oh, there are so many.
I
um,
mean, like let's say like from your community, like not even people in your network, not even like market makers, like from people that have just been like replying to all your tweets or like in your DMs, just like yo, like why doesn't this exist yet? Like what has been like the number one product there?
Yeah, auto rollover, which we already know, or it's just weekly expiry is still a little bit difficult to work with. So this is definitely something that we are fully aware. But just for some markets, it's very difficult to straight up turn them into a perp um, because if you're betting on activity in a period of time, it's just you don't want pricing from other periods to get
Right.
mixed in there, so that otherwise it's
Which
just not a clean bet.
right.
Uh, yeah, so that's why we are structuring these perp tokens from ground up. So start with the futures and let them roll over so that they can synthetically become perp tokens. Yeah, but
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
from a UI UX perspective, people don't like to deal with weekly, so that's number one pain point, and we're working on that.
So more so than like people even
Leverage.
asking for like a new market, they're like, no, like this is the market we want to trade, but like just slightly differently.
There are definitely requests for new markets. I think the we have collected enough feedback and have a view on what markets people are most urgently to that they want to trade. I think stablecoin is definitely up there. That's why we're doing them next.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. And like for example, have you gotten a lot of demand or have a lot of people asking you for like Solana for example, or is that something that you guys kind of like know internally like will be of interest?
Yeah, Solana is something that I mean, came up a few times, but obvious because it's an obvious choice, but it
Right.
hasn't
Right.
been requested as you would expect.
As much as
I
you
think
think.
pump.fund is the one that come up very often
Oh,
because
interesting.
I
Yeah.
guess they also don't have a token yet. Mostly for Solana because people
Wait,
who
that's a
would
great
want
idea.
Solana.
Pump
Yeah.
that fund revenue is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, because for Solana, right, like people who would trade Solana, they are not on base yet. So yeah, so they're hanging out somewhere else. So I think even though intuitively it's a very good idea, but I think that's more
What
of
if
a
you just
service
use
to.
what if you just use something like Relay and just like allow people to just trade on base or sorry, just allow people to trade on Solana and then just instantly convert their Solana to base ETH?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
It actually wouldn't be that difficult. Well, I would so the reason that I bring this up is because I just realized earlier this week that Warpcast Wallet allows you to swap from Solana to based ETH. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like I did not realize cross-chain swaps are this easy now. Like it doesn't feel like a bridge at all. I mean, like it literally feels like a cross-chain swap. And I mean, it takes a little bit, a couple minutes, etc. But at the end of the day, I was like, shit, I can't believe this is possible. Like, how is this possible? And someone was like, oh, yeah, they just use Relay. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, if it really is that simple, then, like, you yourself could even use something like Relay and then just instantly swap people's Solana to base ETH. Of course, like, if the spread changes within that, like, couple of minutes, that might be the only, like, real issue, but just, create a margin of error, uh, for people uh, to work with.
Makes sense. Yeah, then that thing is going to be very, very volatile to trade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, which will be good. Yeah. For you. Okay, we have to get our next session started, but thank you so much. I mean, first thing, this has been one of my I hate to say it's been one of my favorite live streams all week, but it definitely has been. Like this has been really really incredible. Super super fun. Um, I mean, we just spent 2 hours chatting about this, and we only plan to spend an hour. So really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you staying on, and of course, like keep building what you're building. This is an awesome product. I can't wait to start using it. If there's any last things that you'd like to share or say, feel free to go for it now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're very, very excited to share this with more people. So definitely check it out. It's alkimiya.io. Yeah, happy to hear any feedback as well.
Great, great. I'll reach out to you after this, and we'll connect where we need to, and make sure that you send me any like research materials, anything that you've already had. I'd love to start diving into some of the data that you guys have produced.
Will do.
Amazing. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you. Thank
see
you.
you again on here, hopefully when stablecoin markets drop or something. Or when it's a mini app, actually.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Actually, and if you even want to come on live and like turn it into a mini app live, let me know. We can set that up too.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, well, definitely. This is definitely something that I think we can explore.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. All right.
Awesome.
Peace out, my guy. We'll see you again soon. All right, next session, let it begin.
Howdy, howdy.
We have a full crew here for
Hey
Dash.
guys.
I love to see everyone here today. This is gonna be incredible. All right. So first things first, we got a little game already created. I really wish Girl could be here as well, but Girl Crash will be here probably on the next session. I don't know, Anthony or Miles, if you got to see like some of what she was building as well. But very, very cool. Perfect for implementing Dash and the character into that game. Just for everyone watching, to preface this next session, Anthony and Miles have built this incredible IP, this incredible character called Dash. If you go to dashworld.gg, I'll put it here in the chat for everyone to see. Dashworld.gg. So everyone, go take a look at Dash. Go check out the AI chat that you can chat with Dash himself. See some of his personality. See some of his history, his story. Start tooling around there. And we have been building a few games out for Dash to be a part of this world and to grow the Dash ecosystem, or to grow the Dash world specifically. So if anyone watching has any ideas of games that they'd like to see Dash be played in, feel free to suggest, and we'll see if we can make it happen. All right, why don't we just do a quick round of everyone just give yourself a quick intro. Zach, we'll start with you, and we'll move from there.
Howdy, howdy, everyone. My name is Zach Crater. I'm a big fan of gaming on base. So if it involves gaming and if it's on base chain, you're probably gonna either see me on Telegram or see me chatting with the founders and DMs. I'm also a game developer. I'm big on Unity and 3JS. And yeah, thank you for being here. I'm excited to see the growth and development of Dash.
Yeah, and Zach isn't just into gaming on base. He is like probably the biggest person who's into gaming on base. So, like he said, if you are also into gaming and if you're on base, you are definitely going to see Zach around. And I suggest you go follow him on Twitter. I believe it is also at Zach Prater.
Yes, yes, it is. Same with my Telegram, same with my Discord, same with everything. So at Zach Prater, you'll find me. And yeah, no, there's 3.3 billion gamers that we need to bring on chain. And the best way to do that is through building consumer products for people to be able to learn, love, and enjoy. Uh, but yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later, but I'll hand it to the next person.
I definitely believe that statistic is true, that 50% of people in the entire world play video games. That is probably pretty accurate. All right, Anthony, I would love for you to go next. Who are you and why are you here?
Hey guys, yeah, Luciano, thanks for having us today. I'm Anthony Pisano, co-founder of Dash World. My background comes from the music industry, um, the gaming and the music and gaming intersection. Um, I've been in the music industry for 15 plus years, and I've started as a DJ and producer, and then started to get into the marketing end of things and really intersection those two worlds. So like spent a lot of time in the Web3 space, been in it since like 2017, and worked along a lot of the major record labels, top brands, gaming publishers, and a lot of really big Web3 games, especially during the last bull run and then leading into this bull run. So, me and Miles linked up last year and started working on the Dash project, and, happy to be a part of the base community to keep expanding the project.
Hell yeah. Thank you for joining us. Miles, would love for you to go next.
How's it going, everybody? Luciano, thanks for putting this together and the whole base community. What's going on? Anthony said a lot. I'm Miles. I'm a music producer. I've worked with people like Lil Wayne, Eminem, Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar. And yeah, like Anthony said, we came together. Anthony was crushing it with the marketing stuff. We both love gaming, video games, anime, things like that. And I was kind of like working on a little side artist project, and we came together and we're like, why don't we just make this into like a cool ass like digital character, and put out music through it and see like what kind of like world we could build. And yeah, we just started diving in, working on music, bringing in all these different cool artists to get on the songs with us, and just started building out the vision of Dash World. And it's been, I don't know, I'm like a kid again. I get to just go like live my child dreams through creating these characters in these world, and it's been a blast.
No, it's very well said. I mean, I think we're all in a bit of a dream state here. The fact that we get to world build like this is something that we all wish we could do as kids. So it's really cool that we get to do it today and get to do it here live with everyone. All right, Heritage. I would love Mr. Broken Watch CEO would love for you to give a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Hey, Luchi. First of all, thank you for having me. A pleasure to meet Zach, Anthony, and Miles too. Well, I would call myself like, I don't know, you know me better, but it's like I'm kind of like a multi-tool. So I started in like the 3D world with Web3 like in 2021. Since then, everything has kind of like evolved. I've been focusing on game development and kind of like merging these both worlds of like AI, Web3, and using games like as a way to showcase the full potential that these new techs can have in a daily basis. So yeah, I would say it's like I kind of like enjoy mixing a bunch of stuff that I've learned across the time, just trying to make it to make a better world. So happy to be here.
I'm glad everyone can finally get to meet here today. I think it's gonna help us build out this world just a little bit cleaner, a little bit better. Um, so why don't we get started by, I know you have a little demo to show. So if you'd like to share your screen and maybe showcase either, you don't necessarily have to play it live. You could also just share like the video that you shared with us in the Telegram, just so people can get an idea of sort of like what you're building. And then I would like to just start talking about with everyone here, maybe how we want to sort of develop this world out, what some of the mechanics might look like, what some of the assets might look like, and what story we want to tell with this game specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just like open the file, lower the volume because it's really high. Um,
Yeah, if
and
you want, feel free to either like play the game itself or just show the video, whatever one's easier for the live stream.
I don't mind actually. Like, let's use the video while the files charge, like load.
Mhm.
Um, so here, percent share screen, share screen. This one. Okay, so what we did here is actually kind of like a little sprint on trying to build like just a test or a placeholder of what we can do with Dash. So the idea was, like I told Luciano on the previous meeting, was to kind of build this like three or two or three games, like mini games, that we will be able to host on a browser to let users kind of like start interacting with the IP, and kind of like merging the gaming and also allowing Dash to kind of like do some interactions while the players well playing the game. So this is just basically kind of like a, I will call it like a Subway Surfer style. Well, all the style needs to be changed. This is just like a bunch of placeholders from a template we already had. Um, and the idea is to allow users to actually kind of like enjoy. Let me just put it in. I don't know if I can loop it. I guess not. So yeah, like the idea is to just like launch fast or ship fast like these little mini games, just to start seeing and start receiving some feedback from the users, like, oh yeah, this game should have this we should have this another game that we have in mind, or things like that, just to start like experimenting and playing with the IP, like I told you.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you so much for showing. Let it just play it again, let it run again,
Yeah.
just so people can keep watching it. So Miles and Anthony, I'd love for you to get some of your feedback on like what this game should look like, and like what sort of, like I said, like what story we want to tell here. Like for example, what should Dash be picking up? What, like, should the cars look like a certain way? Like what exactly is the style and branding that you guys are looking for? Maybe you guys hate this game, but at the end of the day, like, let's just start thinking about the world that we're trying to build. So depending, no matter like what the game is, we can get some of the like the
Mhm.
assets down that we'll need, and like get some of the story down that we're trying to tell.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a
I'm
great start for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I love the vibe. Like as far as the setting, we're
Hmm.
in like a futuristic, like Neo Tokyo style setting. So I would like as far as like the landscape would go for like that Neo Tokyo kind of like futuristic vibe.
Great.
And also like in the story, there's a moment where Dash, when he's on Arca 250, Node kind of like notices that there's like somebody new on the planet and he wants to like capture Dash. So one night
Mm.
after one of Dash's shows, he gets caught, he gets surrounded in an alleyway by the Black Saints. And like these are like the gang that like Node sends after to go capture Dash on Arca 250. So like there's an alleyway where he like walks down and they kind of like surround him. And in this moment, like this new character gets introduced. His name's Telly. He's like a cyborg. He's like a rogue AI that's like half human, half AI, and like kind of got you know, like he's like a defect out of like the manufacturing plant, so he's like not with it, so he comes in and he like saves Dash. But that could be cool, like where he's like he's surrounded by the Black Saints in the alley, and then he's got to like try to run away and like get away, and like maybe if you beat it, even at the end, Telly comes in and like swoops you away. But yeah,
Well,
it's cool.
that's actually a great idea for like moving on to the next like round. You know what I mean? Or like especially if people really do love this game and we can create like multiple settings. It's like okay, like you've now gotten 1,000 points like running through Neo Tokyo. Like now you like turn down, like you take a left or a right like down this alleyway. The Black Saints surround you, and like you have to like do like a special like mini game, or just like jump around them, etc. And then like as soon as you like get past them, you know, she swoops down, grabs you, and then moves you on to the next like level.
Yeah, or even getting to choose like which level at the end. Like, do you like you got through this section? Are you gonna go right or are you gonna go left? Like, you know, and then you can
Ooh,
ask, and
ooh,
it'll like
that's super cool. Either you
change.
go, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that way you can go back and play it again and go the other way and see like if the outcome was different. You know.
Well, yeah, like maybe you go down left and you're down the alleyway and the Black Saints surround you, or you go down right and like you just move right on. So you
Right.
kind of have to like you have to kind of like get lucky if you want to like move on to the next round easily, or maybe the Black Saints got your ass.
Yeah. Or maybe you almost beat the level. You feel like you beat it, but then it was like, wrong way. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's great. And now you're surrounded, and it's like, all right, you got to jump like super fast and get around these people.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's I'm writing all this down, by the way, so making sure that um, we have it. Okay, so and some of the assets, like what do we want Dash to be picking up, and what do we want some of the obstacles to be? I think those are two important questions. Like maybe like are there like is there some like sort of diamond or like some sort of like maybe like I'm trying to think of like what already exists in the Dash world that would be like something kind of valuable that we could use as like the asset for what Dash is actually picking up.
Well, you could definitely go with like the coins, for sure. Like, you know, grabbing the coins and like we could stylize the coin outside of like a coin shape thing, or we could keep it for like the sense of like base. Like maybe having a coin is cool. Like
Making it like a base coin.
yeah, like a base coin. Yeah, exactly. Like a little gold base coin.
That'd be cool. I
That's
also
kind of
want to, Miles. We should also talk about which song or like what
yes.
like the music that we want in the background that goes with the theme of the game. Because like what we talked about internally yesterday was like releasing a new song with the mini game as well, and then maybe like a poster or like some sort of art that could be on chain as well.
Ooh.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
So for like each game, we just do another one and another one.
Oh, that would be super fire. That would be super cool.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
think
like
I think oh, sorry, Ant.
No, you're good. No, that's like just the idea that we've been speaking about internally. So I wanted to bring it up today with you guys and see, what your thoughts are and obviously how we can incorporate that in.
So we could. So if there's a poster that you guys like are actually creating, what would be really cool is if we had those posters like posted up around town, like as you're like running through, have like that that Dash poster, and of course like play that song that's associated with it. So do you think that you already have like the music that you'd want to use for this game, or would you want to create
Yeah.
something specifically for it?
Yeah, no, like I have an EP that I already like produced that
Fire.
we're planning. It's kind of about seeing like the game and what's being developed and then kind of figuring out how we can all blend it together, like which songs are going to make sense for the games because we didn't make the songs thinking about the games first. So
Right.
kind of seeing like how the storyline and the songs can fit the games that make it feel like natural is probably the route we would take. And then if once we have something aligned, if the songs needed some kind of changes to create some deeper nuance and whatnot, like I would maybe change the song to edit the song to like fit the game better if it felt like it didn't fit or whatever.
Yeah,
Also, I see David Grateful write a comment say, "Why not make it no coin for now? Get some get the game to resonate with people first and make them play for a chance to earn. We weren't talking about an actual coin. We were just talking about like the little coins inside the game that you collect for points. Just to be clear there, it had nothing to do with like a coin or a token. It was just while you're running down the alleyway, like you're just picking up these coins, which like turn into points
boost
for
your
you
score,
within the
yeah.
game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So what you could do, because this like most of the story actually, like this game specifically will be centered around like Dash while he's like in this setting, like going to shows, going to concerts, walks outside the alleyway. Black Saints are involved, so this is like the specific like time frame, or yeah, like time frame in Dash's life that we're sort of going for. So maybe like we give Dash like a guitar, or maybe like you pick up a guitar somewhere along the way, and like it gives you like a speed boost or something like that. And I also want to talk about like potential obstacles too. Like what do you guys see as like should it just be like moving cars, like stuff that like would be in Neo Tokyo, or is there anything like specific you guys would want or can think of?
I think like maybe start with like get the Neo Tokyo vibe going and be creative on like your end of what those obstacles would be,
Mhm.
because it could really be anything. Like I don't think anything ties to the story too much on in this game particularly on like what
Mhm.
those objects would be. We could brainstorm on some funny things, like maybe go. I don't know how in depth you want it to be, but if it's in Neo Tokyo, I know you're in Tokyo right now. Um, I don't know if you've been down to like Shinjuku area or like the fish
Hell yeah.
market or whatever. So maybe you're running through the fish market and you know how that's set up. And like, you know, maybe that's one of the levels where you turn off. You start off in the city area and then you turn off. Maybe you end up going through the fish market. Maybe they're throwing fish back and forth and you're like try to pick up one of them, you know,
Yeah,
like
I love that.
I don't know, like, you know, I want the game developers to be like creative there as well. And like when we kind of, you know, I'm kind of just, you know, new to this world and getting used to like what you can create and what it can be. So,
Mhm.
um,
No,
yeah,
that's a great idea. Like you running through Shinjuku, you know, they're running through the fish market, and like you know, there's like fish on the ground. If you hit it, you slip, and like you fall like a certain amount, and if you like fall into an obstacle, like automatic death. That would actually be interesting. Where like if you hit a fish, like you just start sliding, and if there's an obstacle in front of you, you're fucked. If not, you like get lucky, and you can keep going once you like recover.
yeah,
But
you
like
can
if there's
ramp that fish like and like
yeah,
catch them there.
yo, that's cool. And then like you get far enough, you're now in Shibuya, and now like you know you're at like you're in the like you know more like
Probably
nightlife.
avoiding people in the crossing or something, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you're in like the nightlife too. You see your concert hall. Um, you know you run down.
Maybe
You
he's
run.
racing to the race. He ends up racing to the venue.
Exactly. Exactly. Like you're racing to the venue, and then as soon as you like get to the venue, you like play your set or whatever. You know, you find the guitar, play the set. Crowd goes wild. You walk. You know, you walk out, and bam, Black Saints are there.
Maybe at the end you go and you get when you if you've beat the game and you get to the final level, you get to hear the full song. It'll be like play full song, download full song. You can click skip and go to the next level, or you can sit there and listen to the song and like maybe like you that's where you can down. I don't know.
That'd be cool if you could like claim it, like claim the like we could put the song on chain, and then like you could claim it and like get an airdrop to your wallet.
Yeah, something like that. I don't. Yeah, that could be
That'd be
cool.
cool.
Yeah, we got a lot cooking here. All right, this is really cool. Let me write some more of this down.
Dash also has like a counterpart named Echo, which is like this like floating
The little drone, right?
yeah, the little drone,
Yeah, yeah, I saw
exactly.
it.
So maybe if Echo is kind of like floating around Dash,
I
Yeah.
was thinking that too,
and
bro.
if Echo, maybe if Echo you catch a certain amount of coins, Echo will like turn into a
Ooh.
super bot and it'll like give you a boost.
Well, yeah, you could like what you could do is you could have like Echo sort of like fly down, you hop on Echo, and now like you only have to move left or right. You don't have to like jump or anything anymore.
Right. So
And,
so
like
yeah, so certain amount of coins get your boost up, and then when your boost is up, you can click to use it, and then Echo will go and transform into Dash's hoverboard, and you can fly faster. You can avoid certain obstacles, but it's only for a certain amount of time. The boost runs out after a certain amount of time, and then you got to collect more coins to get another boost.
Perfect. Yeah,
I like that idea a
that would
lot.
be nice. Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is the name of the game. So, I mean, I love the idea of calling it Dash Dash, but it might be slightly problematic. Like just calling it Dash, you know what I mean? Like I think that would make sense as well, but then it kind of like might cause confusion between the character and the game. But
What
I don't
about
know, what are some
Dash
of your guys' thoughts around this?
Dash Run?
Yeah, we could just call it Dash Run. I just love the
Dash,
fact
yeah.
that like you could literally call it Dash Dash, which is so ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, like we could just call it Dash Run, or like,
It's like if you look at
yeah,
the screen in front of us, it's like basically Dash Run.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it literally is, yeah. Dash Race, yeah, fuck it, just call it Dash Run. If we
I feel
think
like
anything
most people that play this kind of game, like you always see like a run at the end of these games, so you kind of know what kind of game it is as well. Like when you see the title.
So who is? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how the game starts. Actually, is like you coming out of the concert hall, and um, and like the Black Saints are around you, and then you got to run. I guess.
Yeah, like that's similar to Temple Run. Yeah, he
Right.
comes to like the temple, and then those like goblins or whatever chase
Exactly.
the guy, and yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. And then like once you do eventually like run past them, like you run far enough, run past them, then she comes to save you, or brings you to the next level. Miles, what do you think? Would you rather it starts that way? Would you rather like that sort of happens in game?
This is like one of those things that like doesn't necessarily have to be so exact to the storyline, especially since there's not like an animated series or a movie for everyone to follow. Like it's more
Yeah.
like right now it's like text lore and we have some visuals coming. So it's we like allowing the user to have an imagination or kind of, it's not doesn't have to be exact to the storyline. So maybe you just maybe you get through the level. And I mean, I do like the idea of him being surrounded when he comes out, because that's the storyline. Like he's on Arca 250, he's finally getting comfortable, he's finally getting his his roots set on this new planet, he's DJing. But at the same time, Sylar, his arch nemesis, Sylar is basically Dash has one red eye, one blue eye. And it's basically like you have your good side and your bad side. And Dash is like fighting against his inner demon, which is Sylar. And he ends up getting his soul split from an intergalactic shaman known as a soul splitter. And you split your soul, and you have 21 days where either you eliminate your evil side or your evil side eliminates you. And if that happens, you're left, either your pure side is left or your worst side is left. So during this time, like Sylar is starting to mess with Dash. Like Dash is like knows that he's got to eliminate Sylar, and that he knows that Sylar might be coming for him. But Sylar's like playing it back in the weeds. So, and he slowly starts doing things like messing with his gear and messing with his songs and his sets and sabotaging his name around the city because they're identical. Like no one knows who's who. And he starts messing with Dash's career. And that's when Dash is, he knows Sylar's getting closer because more things keep happening.
I love the idea of like when you have to go left or right, like when it's no longer straight, you have to choose like either the good side or the bad side, and like you choose, like it says like red, it's like red and blue, and like you either go the red way, and like it takes you down like a specific path of like like that sort of like sabotaging, like you run past like the love hotels, etc., like and all the bars and the clubs, or like you go to like the blue side and it's like just like the park, or like something more interesting. So we could like change the setting, like you could choose the red or the blue side, like when you go left or right, and like it will just change the setting slightly.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right, let me keep writing some of this down.
I was also thinking like maybe throughout the games, Sylar's presence in the game becomes stronger, and in the final game, like you fight Sylar as like the final boss in like a Super Smash Brothers type of a game style where like you're battling Siler to stay on the rock, and like you keep flying off and you're using your, it's like a different style game than the run, but each game has a different style in the series.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can connect them actually. Like,
Yeah, and you can.
I was gonna say it'd be really interesting if you like progress through each of these games, like, and it would like that's what told the story, like it's through a series of mini games that like
Right.
all sort of work together rather than like a movie or show
yeah,
like usual. That
So
would be sick.
if that were the case, the first game should be like the crashing. Like we have a song called "Crashing Out," and it's like when Dash is like riding along the edge of a black hole vortex. And it's like kind of what they do on the moon. It's like this edgy thing where you're the risk taker. So you go out and you ride along the edge of the vortex, the black hole vortex, but he falls into it. And that's what shoots him through the vortex out into space where he lands on this planet he doesn't know. So that would like be the first sequence that would happen. He would be flying through space, trying to avoid maybe hitting things in space type of a vibe.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
and then like the song Crashing Out would be playing. And for this, I was thinking something like a Mario Kart where you're like trying to like not fall off the road and trying not to hit certain objects like little aliens, spaceships, space debris, etc.
Yeah, it could be like a Space Invaders type game, but just a little bit more like well curated.
Yeah, and the longer you're on the road, the faster you're going. So it's like gets more difficult to avoid things, and ultimately you beat the game and you still crash because he's
Right.
crashing out. Like
Right. That's great. That's great.
and that would help to keep the games aligned with the storyline. It would help to keep the song narrative aligned as well. So just like a note is like this, if I were to put this in a series, this game would probably come like after the game that I just was saying, if it
Yep.
were to align it like the way that the storyline goes.
And then Dash Smash.
I'm thinking on like maybe I don't know if you saw the game from Bored Apes, the one that it's with like kind of like a spaceship.
Yep.
Maybe we can do something similar, obviously with like the whole style of Dash, and instead of just being grids where you have to go through the debris that Miles just said, we can use something like that. At least for the testing, we can build something like that really fast, actually, just to kind of test the vibes and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah, we actually referenced that Word Apes game
Yeah,
for some concepts, so that does make sense.
perfect. So, Miles and Anthony, would you guys want like before we continue, we keep building this to focus on kind of like the first chapter, just to kind of like go with the lore?
Yeah, let's start with this dash run concept, and then we can move into the next one.
Yeah, no. What I meant was actually like instead of focusing on Dash Run, like focusing on the first chapter that Anthony said, that is the Edge
That
Vortex
is like
thing.
Oh,
yeah,
like focus on the first song, Crashing Out.
Oh, the
Yeah,
crash.
yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
just focus on like go
like
step by
game one.
step and
Yeah.
Yeah,
start
like
launching them.
Because then we could like if we do start with like game one like that, then we can like sort of focus on the lore in a very specific
Yeah.
way where we do tell the story and like that is the experience.
Yeah, and you guys can like actually make kind of these launches where like, oh yeah, this is
Here's
a
game
new game,
one.
this is a new song, and keep on going. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be cool. I
Yeah, I
think
like
that's I think
like
that's the idea. We're just like getting to know like y'all in the community and like what everybody's gonna do
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how we all
Yeah,
work
yeah, yeah.
together. So
No, we're
now
all
that-
iterating here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as you get to know the lore and as you get to know like the ideas and stuff, like we figured, we'd vibe out and come up with like some kind of way to, work together to roll it out, whether it be with the lore or not. But I personally would, as a fan of the Dash world, saga, I'd love it to like match the lore and kind of learn about the story while you play the game, and just like any other great game you're playing, So
Yeah.
Yeah, and having like some of that lore maybe pop up like when you start the game to give users some context, potentially like kind of like Star Wars vibes.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that makes more sense too because there is a after talking today, there's a lot of complexity that we would want to add to Dash Run, So before like getting to that level of complexity, it might make sense to start with game one, and especially if Heritage, if you think it's like, a lot easier to sort of recreate like the Board Ape like style game in the Dash world, I think that is a really good idea because then we can sort of perfect the lore where
Yeah.
people start there, they have that experience, they're like, okay, I actually sort of understand who Dash is now. I'm starting to understand like what this is, why he's here, how to interact with them, and then once the
Yeah.
next game, like when we have like a more fuller Dash Run game come out, we can tell more of that story, get people excited, and keep moving from there.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I always focus on like not building full game like with actual styles and everything, because if we need to iterate, it's way easier to kind of like just switch to another style, and that's it. And yeah, like the Board Ape game is just kind of like a endless game, so you just have to build like all the base meshes and just get them loop and randomized. So yeah.
Cool. That sounds
Great,
good.
great, great. This is great. This is fantastic. And then in terms of what were you saying, Miles? In terms of the like Dash Smash. So right now we have Dash Vortex. That's what I'm calling the game one. So Dash Vortex game one, Dash Run game two, and then Dash Smash for game three.
I would
And
do Dash Smash like game 5
all right, bet. All right, that's like
because
final. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, that's like Super Smash Brothers style, like in you versus Tyler on that final, like in the story, they're on like the peak of the highest mountain in Arca 250, and it's like lightning, and it's it's crazy, and they're battling each other, trying to push each other off the top of the cliff.
I actually love the way of sort of building out the world like this because like building out the world in like a series of mini games makes it so like lightweight but like interesting, and of course you can like distribute it to almost everyone. Like everyone plays like mini games, anyone can play a mini game. Takes a lot more time to watch a whole series, watch a whole movie, etc. So like tell the story in like a series of mini games like this is like, I mean, this is pretty unique too. I don't know if anyone else has really like done something like this. And then like if people love the lore and like love it, like that experience so much that they're like, hey, like when is the movie dropping? When is the TV show dropping? You now have like 4 legs to stand on in terms of like actually producing something like that.
Yeah, that would be dope. That's ultimately the goal. We would love to roll out a full multimedia experience around Dash World.
Actually, are you guys familiar with Shibuya.film?
I'm not familiar.
No.
I don't know if you guys know who People Pleaser is, but People Pleaser's like, she's very big on Twitter, Farcaster, etc. And she built Shibuya.film, which is a way to crowdfund like short films. The original film was an anime, very very good. And I just went. They had a like a showing in New York for their next like 3 to 5 like short films that were funded through this platform. So essentially, like if the community really loves this like enough, we could use Shibuya.film to like fund like a production, like a short film production for Dash.
That'd be amazing.
That would be really cool, actually. This is really really interesting.
Yeah, we
Uh,
also just spoke to one of the guys whose family owns, was it Crunchyroll, Miles?
oh shit!
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean Crunchyroll is obviously fucking
No, it
huge.
was Funimation.
Funimation, yeah.
Oh, Funimation,
Well,
literally the same.
Funimation.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Funimation, Crunchyroll, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
his family like was one of the first people to bring Dragon Ball Z to America.
oh my
and
god.
and in that they like licensed like every other anime, most other anime properties from there. So yeah, there could be a lot of cool opportunities, um, to work on these
Okay.
extra like media plays.
Yeah,
So if we're gonna focus on Dash Vortex next, let's think about some of the other like mechanics, mechanisms, obstacles that you guys might want to see there.
Are there
So if
like
you guys,
sound effects also, in-game sound effects?
oh yeah, that's something that, I mean, you might be able to use what currently exists for like the Board Ape game, but I think that's something that we will want to like create a soundtrack.
Yeah, it's better if we have custom ones.
Yeah, well, I would make them custom. Maybe I would even get like some crazy voiceover guy to like come in and
Perfect.
we've got some people on our network that are pretty dope. So like
That's
just
fire.
seeing the game and then seeing like the vibe too. Sometimes like the sound effect, a vocal, like Dash running and hitting something and being like, ooh, is one thing. And then also Dash could hit it and be like, oh shit. Like, I don't know if you want him to say that, but those
Yeah.
things like change the vibe of the game. They
Yeah,
change the
sound effects are
attitude.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. So like it changes the tone of the game a little bit. So we can brainstorm more on that as we're developing this out and kind of figure out which sound effects give the attitude to the game and the overall saga and the experience. Like,
Well, some of the obstacles, for example, will be like asteroids, but like what else is Dash seeing in space that is connected to the lore, or what do you guys want to see? Anything like the more detailed you're going to be, the better it is
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Heritage to be able to produce that.
I don't know, like maybe like a glitch hazard, like an AI malfunction, like aesthetic where like code blocks or like
Ooh.
firewalls, like looping memory traps. I don't know. Maybe like
Yeah,
broken.
like digital manifestations. Yeah.
Something. I mean, I don't know if we can incorporate some sort of music themed items.
Yeah, like a sound wave wall that's like pulsing, or like
Yeah. I mean, like a pulsing sound wave is definitely possible. Yeah, I'm trying to like visualize it now. I think
there's
that
like echo hunters, other rogue agents that are trying to like get destroy echoes. So maybe we make some like black echoes pink, but maybe we make like a black version that's like
Yeah,
like
that could be cool.
there could be some like element to the game where you may have got your boost,
I
but
have
if you get the
something
boost,
similar. Like I was thinking of something like this for some
yeah,
experience.
yeah, so that's like the bad drones. Like those are the drones that represent the people on Arca 250. That's like the Black Saints. And like if I showed you a picture of the Black Saints, dude, it's guys in like cloaks that look exactly like that drone. That drone is the drone version of a Black Saint.
I love that. Yeah.
These images are cool.
Send
Yeah, yeah.
send everything you guys have in the chat, like literally every asset, any piece of material, like anything that will
Yeah.
help produce the game.
Even if it's just like an image, I can like model it myself, just to have like a 3D model of the obstacles and all that.
This vibe though. Did you just make this while we were on the call?
No, I already had it. Like I had
You already had
some kind of like examples for the style for other games. This I just made it in a AI model just to kind of like get the vibe that we would like to for the game.
It's a
Yeah,
cool.
that's like the vibe like we were thinking as far as
Yeah.
like Neo Tokyo
This,
kind of
this is
thing.
home base. We only bring the most crack devs on. You already know.
We love bass, man.
When I was thinking for like the power up is maybe when you get your power up, you have to get another item that will keep the Black Saint like drone off of your echo. So
Okay.
if you
Shield
get
echo.
the boost up, you get the boost up. But if you don't, like, you still could get attacked by the Black Saint drone, which will kill your boost. So if you get the boost button and like let's say you get a cloak, you can cloak your echo so your boost lasts longer. So it's like
Okay,
really
okay.
you want to be able to catch both. It's really hard to catch both. You almost never can. But if you do get it, your boost lasts twice as long and doesn't end up getting like, destroyed by like the node drone.
Oh, that's super cool. Actually,
Yeah, I like that idea actually.
Just
So
like
let me
adds a little bit more of like really skilled gamers will probably get those every time and it'll help them beat the level like exponentially faster than
Yes.
anyone else who's not getting those boosters. So like the key to really getting the high
Oh, that'd be
scores, you have
cracked.
to get the boosters.
Yeah.
So something like there should be like a combo of pickup of power ups, right? Like the one
Yes.
Yeah.
from Echo and like the one that makes it.
So if you see like a golden echo, right now you're seeing golden coins, right? But
Yeah.
maybe we make a golden echo and it like blends in like with like it's one of the coins. And when you see a golden echo, you got to get the golden echo. And then um after that, like right shortly after that, there's another item. I don't know exactly, like sorry if I sound crazy, but
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I kind of
ideas.
forget
It's
the
all really
idea.
good.
Maybe it's like a cape or something, or like some kind of like digital like orb, and like you have to hit echo and the orb that pops up right after in order to get the combo pickup. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you get echo, you get your boost, but your boost will get
And then that's
hijacked.
done. Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of like mixing power ups just to kind of like give an advantage to the most
Also,
experienced
maybe like
player.
the street looks like a little shiny. Maybe there's like a slippery puddle, something that slows you down if you hit some water in the street.
Oh, I
Like
like
it
that
just
idea.
slows your speed.
Let me just enemies slash obstacles. Wait, yeah, I'm sharing this too. Um, so yeah, I don't know if something else comes up with. Well, this is for the dash run game actually. So,
Yeah.
but we can still like think on something similar for the dashboard X. You call it, Luigi?
Yeah,
We can call
dashboard
that
decks.
we
Yeah.
can call that crash out. That
Yeah,
first one we
yeah,
can call crash out.
crash out.
Crash
Yeah.
out.
Fine.
Yeah.
Dash crash.
Yeah, something like that.
Wait, dash crash is
Miles,
perfect.
what's the best way to like get them the record for that?
I'll just send them. Well, I think I sent last time a link, but I can send you another link to the music.
And then as far as the well, we'll worry about the next one. As far as what music we want to use for the second one, we can just focus on Crash Out for now.
Yeah.
I think there's a song called, you know, the song "Go," where he's like, it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go,
Yeah,
go, 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 go. Like
Oh,
that.
that's
That
fire.
would be good for this one because I don't know, like it just has that feeling.
Good for the Dash Run song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
t-
yeah. A lot of those records would be yeah, that'd be
I just
dope.
sent a lot of the details in the Telegram chat. So you guys got them.
Yeah.
Dash crash, dash run, and then dash smash. We got 3 gives.
Oh, Dash Crash.
Dash crash, baby.
That's hard.
Hard as fuck. That's how we do. I really do want to call it dash dash. I want to call it dash run dash dash so badly. Dash crash, dash dash, dash smash. I'm sorry. I'm just such a sucker for alliteration and rhymes.
Yeah, and then like we sent some other ideas in that doc, like the crazy taxi one.
Wait, sorry. Say it again.
Like for concepts like 3 or 4,
Oh,
we
okay.
have we have some other like references in that document.
Yeah, I saw it. The driving one, and there was another one like.
Yeah, so I don't like again, like to Miles' point earlier, like we're trying to understand like what extent we can go here when it comes to some of these games. So, you guys tell us what makes sense, what doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the most or the biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out is the minting process for like you said like unique movements. I think like for drifting styles and all that. At least for this taxi game, you remember that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that actually worries me because since it's a game, you need to, as a game developer, kind of like try to think on every way the player will play the game, to kind of like figure out the outcome and if there's going to be something that might break, then you need to like kind of patch it. So kind of like I'm still trying to figure out the way of minting these new unique styles without like with the limitations that we will have of having the game program ourselves, to the point that we already know all the kind of possible movements. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just like for in order for them to create a movement, a unique movement, we will have already like we will need to create that in advance.
Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll tackle that once we get past these first couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like we have a very clear direction here, which is great.
Very clear, actually, like surprisingly clear. I did not think we'd. I thought we'd just kind of like build out more dash run, but this is perfect. We have like a whole
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah. No,
I
it's a good
think that something cool too, like there's this song that we have, and it's called "Be a Star." And when Dash, um, in the story, when Dash goes to beat Sylar at the end, he remembers that the intergalactic shaman told him like the greatest thing. He was saying like humans have something that no one else has. They have the ability to control their good and their bad side. Like the ultimate being can control their emotions. You're not supposed to eliminate all the bad things about you. You're supposed to be able to control those things and utilize them to have an edge in moments that you need it. So he's like, you can kill Sylar, but you're going to lose a lot of you and a lot of what makes you powerful. So if you really can, the thing to really do is rejoin with Sylar and become superstar Dash. Like find a way to beat Sylar and control Sylar, and then you become superstar Dash. That's basically what happens. So Dash ends up beating Sylar, but he doesn't kill him. He decides, you know what, I'm going to do what the shaman said. I'm going to, reacclimate. We're going to go back into one, and
We're gonna work
I'm
together.
going to control my emotions. And it's really all about controlling your emotions, and knowing you have a good side and a bad side, and when to use a little bit of like, the bad side to, in a good way to, negotiate or whatever it is. But you need both sides in the balance. So I was just thinking like maybe at the end when you beat the last game, there's the Be a Star song, and it's just a fun level. It's like you beat the game and now you're just collecting points. This is like one boost run to collect as many points as you can from the Dash World run, and it's like a giant runway where you just try to collect as many points as you possibly can, just to because you beat the game. Maybe it's like an end game
Maybe
booster.
maybe it is the next game though. Like after you beat Dash Run, like it's the next game where it's like a Guitar Hero kind of game where like you're like making the song, like the superstar song, and like you have to use both sides of Dash to like make the song, because like you can't make a song with no with no trauma, with no experience, etc.
Right.
Most good music comes from that side of you, So you
That's
need
cool. That's
yeah
cool.
I like the guitar.
Yeah. This is spot on, guys.
So maybe that's like
Yeah.
for the Be a Star game, it's like maybe Guitar Hero style,
yeah, guitar use.
and it's like Dash and Sylar finally like working together to make Superstar Dash. Maybe
That's
when you hit a perfect combo, like they all light up and jolt, like like Super Saiyan vibe.
yeah. That last idea was
Yeah, this is great,
sick,
guys.
yeah.
I love this. This is so good. The Be a Star record, I love, Miles.
It's a good vibe for this game too. Like if you're, I can like see it and hear it
Yeah.
being something fun,
Yeah, this
high
is good.
energy.
This makes a lot. This all makes a lot of sense. Luciano, this is fun, dude.
This is why I love the live streams, man. Like we just get to build live in front of audience of fucking 2,000 people. Like, come on now. We get to iterate. They
This
they
is fun.
they get to ask questions. They get to make suggestions, and they're gonna be the first ones to play the game. And of course, like we just get to shoot the shit. Like it's so much fun. Like we get to hear build games, world build all at the same time. It's
Yeah.
Man, I just feel so privileged. I feel so goddamn lucky to be able to do this. Super
awesome.
glad, super glad Base asked us to do those workshops for Base batches, and I'm super glad we just continued running them and just continued having builders come on. And And now Homebase just can't be stopped. You know what I mean? The momentum that we have here is just, you know, I mean, it's not like we even need to do anything for base specifically. Like this is Homebase is completely, you know, my show, my brand, and not mine, but like the communities. You know, if anyone else wants to use Homebase, wants to use these live streams as a tool or resource to them, like that's what we're here for, man. Like this is, it's amazing, really.
It's great. Yeah, and
And-
shout out to Bradley for setting this up.
Yeah, hell yeah! Shout out to Bradley for making the connect for sure.
And like if anybody who's like listening has suggestions or things they'd like to see or hear, or you know anything, just you
Yeah.
know jump in the chat and make some comments and stuff. And we'd love to like build these ideas with the community and with the with the people themselves, so that it just makes it more fun and makes everybody feel like part of really building this. And that's kind of the idea of doing this. So
This is incredible. Honestly, the hardest part about like usually the audience has way more suggestions, but like we've been jumping between ideas so much that it's probably pretty hard for them to tap
Yeah.
in right now. But
Right.
as soon as we focus on like one game specifically, like if we kept this about Dash Run, I'm sure we'd be getting a ton of suggestions right now. But like, and especially once they start to understand the lore more, oh man, like this process is going to be community driven.
amazing.
That's the goal. Do you happen to have like any idea or a draft or on how the spaceship of Dash for the Crash Out game will look like?
It's kind of like he's riding on like what looks like a futuristic motorcycle. It's
Okay.
like it's like a hoverboard motorcycle. Like
Perfect.
motorcycle
Yeah,
with
yeah,
no
I get the
wheels.
idea.
Yeah, and
Kind of
it's
like this throne.
Something very futuristic looking.
just imagine like like a Tron Harley Davidson
Perfect.
or like a Tron Ninja, like you can go like a sport
That's
bike.
sick.
And he doesn't stay on his bike, like he falls off of that thing and then he's just like it's just his body flying through space.
Perfect.
I know we
So
have
it starts with the motorcycle and then just like keeps going with his body, right?
Yeah, like he could be riding along the edge of the thing and then be like, oh shit, and then he flies into the thing and he just starts shooting off, and that's when the game starts.
Perfect.
Yeah, I know we have a few minutes left here, so any other questions or if you guys need anything from us?
I think that's pretty much everything. I mean, this is exactly why we need you guys on the call so we can make this tank. And I think we have a pretty good idea. I mean, just keep thinking about how you want to incorporate certain parts of the lore, and maybe even start thinking about how to I guess first which songs need to be used for which games, and then of course like how to start making sound effects. And then as soon as we have like this Dash Crash game, we can we'll work together, play it together, see where we want to add sound effects, and just keep building from there.
Yeah, I'll try to have like a quick draft similar to the Dash Run style for next week, like Monday or something.
Does this time work for everyone here? Like, should we just keep planning to do this weekly at this time?
I mean, it works for me. So
Yeah, for me
It
too.
works for me.
All right, perfect. I know no, it doesn't necessarily work for Girl Crash, but if in terms of like what she's working on, we can even do that at a separate session. So we don't if this works for everyone, we'll just keep doing it at this time, and then I'll worry about I'll figure out how to accommodate her after.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big priority for us right now. So, like, if we need to schedule like another session with her throughout the week, we probably could.
Okay, great. I'll ask her when's a good time for next week, and we can even do like Mondays and Fridays, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk in the Telegram and we'll figure out times that work.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Yo, thank you guys all for hopping on today. I appreciate you all so much. Yo, Zach, stay on for like 2 seconds. But everyone else, feel free to reclaim your time. Go do what you got to do. And I appreciate you all. This has been amazing.
No, thank
It's
you
a
guys.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Really
thank you
appreciate
all.
all the great work you guys are putting in, and where this is heading to. So really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Dude,
thank you guys.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to work with Dash and work with you guys. This is super cool.
Let's get it, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Let's
Talk
get
soon.
it. All right, we'll see you
See
here
you
next
soon.
week.
Later.
See ya.
Howdy, my guy.
What up, bro? How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm halfway done with my coffee, and it's 11 a.m. So that's pretty good
Nice.
for you. The real question is, what time is it for you?
It is 1 a.m., baby.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. I mean, I'm just glad because usually these streams have been going to like 5 a.m. Honestly, Kieran was supposed to come on now, and we're supposed to go for the next 2 hours. And then Kieran was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be grinding in the morning. Can we do them even later?" And I was like, "Yes, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it until then."
Like yes, but no at the same time.
Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah. So I want you to show base game night. I don't know if you have an announcement or a tweet or something, but I know you have
Yeah.
base game night later. So let's put something in the chat for everyone to go check out.
I'll share it in our private chat and in the main chat. So I'm hosting the base game night. I host it every Friday. We have a series of games that are attending. So for this week, we have Cat Town, which is one of the most OG fully on-chain games on base.
And it's a
Whenever
mini
you
game,
think about what?
and it's a mini app.
It is a mini app. And I think what's cool about Cat Town is every aspect of it is fully on chain, even the weather, which I absolutely kind of blows me away. Second of all, we have Clash of Coins.
Wait, the weather's on chain.
Yeah. So the weather where the team is based determines the weather that is in Cat Town. So if it's raining for them, it's raining inside of Cat Town.
How the fuck is that even possible?
They synced it with the actual on like the open source weather data, and then they just have it running within their game itself.
Dude, that is sick. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of like a big game that even does that because like Minecraft doesn't even fucking do that. Like,
Yeah, no, I don't think there's many just because it's really difficult to do. I mean, the majority of things that Cat Town did are really freaking difficult to do. Because who has a fully on-chain game in general? Most people just say it's on-chain whenever it's not.
right.
But
Yeah, when like one component is on chain, if even that.
I'll share my.
Usually it's like, oh, this game's on chain, but like nothing's on chain yet. It just will be. We
That's
just
so
are planning on to tokenize.
So true. So right now it's raining where their team is based. You can even see the time where their team is based.
That's
And the
so
thing
cool.
that I think is funny is that they're
Is it
the
docs if you
employees.
say where they're based?
What?
Is it a docs if you say where they're based?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, if it's a question, then we don't need to answer.
But after 5 p.m., all the workers leave. So they're off.
Yeah, that's great.
So
Yeah,
the supermarket is open for another 57 minutes. So if you're playing or if you're watching this right now, make sure to play Cat Town. Yeah, so that's Cat Town. They're going to be presenting their fishing, which happens every weekend. Last weekend, they gave out $6,000 for total people that played fishing. I played fishing as well. Sadly, I'm not as good as I thought I would be, but it's still pretty fun. Second, we have Clash of Coins. They're able to boast that they have about 7 to 14,000 daily active users. They're one of the kind of hidden gems whenever it comes to gaming on base, because most games can claim that they have anywhere between 3 to 5,000 total users, but Clash of Coins can claim fully that they have 10,000 plus. They're
Jesus.
going to be announcing something pretty huge during this space, so I can't really give much information about that. But yeah, they're an MMORPG. Their goal is to onboard 100 million users, and I think they're already 10% of the way there. Although certain platforms such as B3 claims to be the biggest game on base, it's actually Clash of Coins. They've been the biggest for a very long time. They have a background in game development. They've been doing game development for the past 20 years, and they kind of took all of their knowledge to build what Clash of Coins is. Last time we played, their community hated it. because the founder introduced a nuke, and he entire he nuked the entire world,
Some
and
MW2 shit. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
absolutely the Discord blew up. Like everyone was loving it,
Literally.
everyone was happy, and then all of a sudden the founder was on my space and he just goes, "Oh yeah, and we built a nuke." And I'm like, "What do you mean a nuke?" And he goes, "Oh no, we built an actual nuke."
Nuclear bomb, yeah.
I had to challenge him, I had to say, like, how does it work? That doesn't make sense. How did
Oh,
you build a
no.
nuke? And he just showed me live, and yeah,
Destroyed everyone.
the Discord absolutely blew up. It was so funny. I felt so bad because the goal of Clash of Coins is to take over the world. You start in America or you start in Germany, and then you start fighting all of your neighbors to try to, consume the world.
Mhm.
No one has ever consumed the entire world because there's 10,000 daily users, so it's really difficult to.
Oh,
But
it's a totally live multiplayer game.
fully live, fully MMO RPG game. I'm trying to
What's
load it up
what's the
now.
URL?
Yeah. I'm trying to load it up now. But I'll
Just
send the
Clash of Coins.
URL. Yeah, I'll send the URL in the private chat.
Okay, bye. Ooh, this looks fun.
I'll see if I can share my screen. I'm still learning Clash of Coins, so even if it looks really bad, don't don't bash the game.
It looks
Every single one of these
really cool.
Every single one of these squares has about 100
Yo.
users.
I can connect a wallet to sign in. Let's go. Huge shout out to Clash of Coins.
No, Clash of Coins is amazing.
Bro, I just can't even stand like when something's like on chain or crypto native and they're like sign up with an email, which I'm like, you can have the option fine, like for people who want to do that, but like, bro, just at least give me the option to connect a wallet. Like, come on now.
I mean, you got to think whenever they kind of hit that 1 million user mark, and then 2 million, and then 5 million, and now they're at 10 million. It's like they kind of have to make it available for everybody.
Right,
But
right. No, I mean, have all the options is my point. Like, at least just give me the option. I understand. Email has got to be the first option, but at
true.
least make connect a wallet one of them.
But I'm going to zoom in on a little area. So there's probably 1,000 people playing live right now.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
fun.
I'm gonna zoom in. I need to zoom in on an area to where there's war,
Yeah, yeah. Have
Because
you been playing or like you're still sort of learning the game, like you said?
all honesty, whenever I started playing was like the day before the founder nukes the entire world.
No way, bro.
Yeah.
It's funny that you use the term like the Discord blew up because he literally blew up the Discord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blew up the world and the Discord. I mean, that's more than a nuke, dude. That's like I don't even know. Like, yeah, there's the atomic bomb and then there's like a nuclear missile, and he basically did that. A nuclear missile times 1,000.
I think what was cool is as he was presenting, like you'll check my bottom corner right here, or you'll play these things, and you'll actually see people play live while he's playing. And most people,
That's so cool.
they try to get the founder during presentations, but it's like nah. He absolutely nuked everyone. It was amazing. But Two Coins is crazy because let me just zoom out. It shows how big the world is, and then you zoom in. That's one country. I don't know what country that is. I feel like an American saying that, but that's fine. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more, and then these are the different counties or areas within that country, and then you zoom in even more, and you find the actual users.
Wow.
It's updating.
Dude, super cool. Yeah, I'm definitely about to go play that shit.
It's scary. Well, maybe don't play today, just because the founder might nuke it.
Yeah, if you're bringing them back on, yeah.
Yeah. So the next game is Ghost Festival. They just launched on Android and the Google Play Store and the Apple Play Store. It's a rank to earn casual on-chain game, but it's not necessarily fully on-chain. They're just kind of here to showcase their platform, so I'm very excited about that. And then last of all, we have yeah. They're going to be launching next month. So if you want to play a fully on-chain game quiz game where the players compete to answer the questions using smart contracts, I definitely recommend checking them out. They're not necessarily live. I mean, I've played them, but that's because I always have the private links. But they're going to be doing a demo. They're going to be launching next month. So if you want any early alpha to get very early into a project, check them out. But yeah, that's it.
Super, super cool. Last thing is, and then I'll let you go. Last thing I want to chat about is I'm as you know, I'm working with Kieran to create this like Homebase server. So I'm gonna get that spun up, and then I'm definitely gonna want your help, sort of maybe filling that world out a little bit. Not necessarily like getting the community involved, but like literally like creating the variables around some of the game mechanics. I'm not sure if you're like a huge Minecraft guy. If not, no worries. But
Are you asking me to play Minecraft? Is that the ask right here? Oh, that's
well, it's more of like to build out a Minecraft server, like build out the Minecraft server world than just play it. But yeah, that as well.
Kieran will definitely be able to help, and I probably will too. But were you able to see the recent updates that he did?
No. I mean, I like I said, he's supposed to come on like at this time, but he said later works better for him because right now he's like grinding shit out, I guess.
Check he really is grinding shit out right
No,
now.
I believe
Check the GIF that I just sent you on Telegram. So what Kieran did is he made it to where you can actually sell your in-game items during Minecraft, or you can buy in-game items during Minecraft. You don't even need to leave. And everything is
Dude, what
going
the fuck?
directly to the Uniswap pool for that server itself. So you can do everything within Minecraft without even really touching Web3 in any
Wait,
aspect.
this is actually fucking insane.
Yeah, so it's like he's cooking, man. This is the most insane plugin that I've ever seen. To think that you can just buy and sell things directly in Minecraft without necessarily doing anything.
Dude, what the hell? How the hell? This is so cool.
Yeah. So now it's just a weird thought of how do we get the normies to play? You know, how do you
Oh,
how do
I
you get
mean,
those
well,
200
dude,
million people?
well, this is why I want to create one for Homebase because I mean, at the very least, this is going to be a server that all my friends play.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be really cool, but this like he's cooking. Every day I get a different update from him.
Oh my god, I am so fucking excited.
No, I am too.
So
Yeah.
that's the last thing I wanted to talk about was just I'm getting the server spun up and I'm gonna need your help on it. So if you're down to like sort of help me admin this Minecraft server, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, fuck yeah. I just needed one other person to say yes, and you are the perfect person.
No, I'm happy to. I think the hardest part is just getting it spinned up in general. But after it's spun up, I'm
Let me
happy to
let
be
me
an
worry about
admin,
that.
happy to do stuff.
Yeah. I'll worry about spinning it up with Kieran, setting most of the like details, but yeah, this is gonna be great.
How many servers is Based MC on now? I think is it 5 or 6?
I think 5, yeah. But
There's
I'm
gonna
sure
be
he's
more.
spinning up new ones every day, so.
Well, I know a few different ecosystems like Uptopia are going to be launching a few different servers as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure most are gonna probably run multiple servers.
That's crazy. I'm excited. All right,
Me
man.
too.
Thank you for having me on, and make sure to get some sleep.
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell Kieran that I just actually I don't know if you saw, but I just moved the Google Calendar to Monday for so we can run this up Monday
Right.
instead.
That's
But
fine.
I kind of want to stay up just so I get the server spun up tonight. But it's just like I don't know if I can manage.
No, I mean sleep's important, but worst case Monday works as well. But
Great. And if Kieran asks where I'm at, just let him know. I'll probably be sleeping.
I mean, me and him are doing another space in like 2 hours, and then I'm doing the
Okay, great.
gaming space, so he's probably pretty busy.
All right, yeah, just tell him on live that I set the schedule for next week, and that's the other thing is like I really want to get him when he's free, so that way we can just kind of run it up. I do feel bad like taking his time to do some of this shit, so I really just want him to like let me know when he's free, and then I can just take more of his time.
No, that's fine because it's like after the server's live, you're not necessarily taking up his time.
Right. But I do want like 2-3 hours of his time, like while setting it up. That's the thing.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. Make sure to watch the GIF a little bit more because it's pretty crazy. And
Oh
then
yeah.
get some sleep, man. I've kept you up till 1:15.
Yo, you're good, bro. You're good. All right, peace out, my guy. I appreciate you for always helping out and coming on the past live stream too. That was great.
Of
So
course. Cheers, man. I'll see you.
peace out. Welcome home. Welcome to base. Thank you all for joining us today. This was an absolutely incredible session. Really appreciate you all for watching. I'm going to end this with our incredible community created video, I should say. If you need any videos created, go follow Toph B on Twitter and on Farcaster. Absolute savage. Didn't have to ask him to do this. He just did it. Sent it to us. And now we use it. Absolute fucking legend. All right. I will see you guys all here next week on Monday for Mini App Monday. Peace out, y'all.